Good evening, everyone. The City of Marine City Commission meeting is called to order on Thursday, April 21st, 2022 at 7 p.m. Can we please have a moment of silence to send our positive thoughts and prayers to those in our community that need our support? Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I need a motion to excuse John Kreidler, Commissioner Kreidler.
So moved.
Support. We have a motion and support. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Callahan?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
No.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Cameron?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion on the agenda? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Time out. Can we do the roll call, please?
Did I forget that?
Yep.
Oh, so we need a regular roll
in
call,
general,
roll call.
Just to establish the quorum.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay, guys.
thank you.
Which one is that?
Commissioner Hendrick?
Here.
Commissioner Bryson?
Here.
Commissioner Callahan?
Here.
Commissioner Clausen?
Here.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Cameron?
Here.
City Manager Chapman?
Here.
And public comment. Anyone is welcome to address the City Commission. Please state your name and limit your comments to 5 minutes. Commission will not respond. We will follow up as necessary. Go ahead. Mr. Fernandez. How you doing? Good, thank you. Oh, it's a double.
What we're going to do. All right, I think you guys have copies of the photos. What's going in? That's going in the where the monument is, facing the field cross. The field cross is the boots and the helmet, and it'll be facing that field cross with the wheelchair standing right behind it, and him standing there saluting all the soldiers that are listed on the thing as killed in action. So this is a salute to them, and it'll be anchored in good on a slab with 6-inch lag bolts, big bolts about that big, going down into it and to anchor it in. And so it don't blow away or walk away. You know how they grow legs. But that's what it's going to do. You want to add a little bit to it, Dan?
Yeah, we just hope we can approve this tonight so we can get that up there, that statue up there before Memorial Day. And then it'll look good for the parade going through town this year. So hope you decide to have it put up there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Suzanne Stibula. I am the Superintendent for East China School District, and I'm here tonight to share with you information on the sinking fund renewal that will be on the May 3rd ballot. The sinking fund is a renewal. The current mills that are out there are 0.4. The ballot will read 0.3992 because of the increase in our property values, so we're still levying the same amount of money, but we don't have to put as many mills on it. The state of Michigan allows the school district to levy up to 3.0 mills. Again, East China School District is only requesting a renewal on 0.3992 mills. And what this money can be used for is small construction and emergency repairs. Our most recent sinking fund project that we did was at the Washington Life Center. The playgrounds over there needed repair and replacement, so they're working on, if they haven't finished that up already, but that's a sinking fund eligible project. Sinking funds are audited funds. The state of Michigan audits them every year. So we're not allowed to spend sinking fund dollars on anything unless it is eligible for sinking fund money. So it can't be used for salaries or anything along those lines. It's only emergency repairs and maintenance of the building. Now, the reason why a sinking fund is critical to the overall budgeting of a school district is that school districts in the state of Michigan are at the mercy of the state's budget. So each year, we aren't sure what kind of money we'll be receiving. Some years this year we're receiving a little bit of an increase. Some years they'll take money away. We never quite know, and unfortunately the budgets don't line up. School districts we have to have our budgets done and approved by June 30th. The state is October 1. So we could have our budget done and ready to go and find out on October 1 that we need to redo our budget because we're going to be looking at a reduction in funding. So having this sinking fund renewal allows us to keep this money set aside for emergency repairs and replacements that we need to do throughout the district without affecting our overall budget. So some of the most recent expenditures that we've used our sinking fund dollars include the surge tank replacement at both high school pools. Both of our pools get a lot of use. And so those mechanicals are always working, and those are sinking fund eligible repairs and replacement as they need to be taken care of. Boiler repairs, it feels like we're always looking at a boiler at some point or another to repair those, and so those are sinking fund eligible. Some roof replacements that we've had to do anytime we have one of those big windstorms and it pops up a corner of a roof and we need to get that taken care of. We're allowed to use sinking fund dollars for that. The one really interesting thing that this is a 10-year renewal. This sinking fund has been in place since 2005. So it renews. So when it was put in place, this 0.4 or 0.3992 mils generates right now $660,000 annually. It will increase to $800,000 annually due to the increase in values of our property. But it's enough money that we can repair everything we need to repair or replace. But if you want a big expenditure like our stadium turf, that was $1.2 million, you have to save for it, which I think is a very good way to manage that sinking fund dollars. So if you want something, you got to plan a couple of years out for it and save your money for it as you make the repairs that we always have. So I think that's great. You know, you can, like I said, levy up to 3, but our district does the 0.3992 or the 4. And then the other things that we can use sinking fund dollars for that we've used for recently, I always joke it's like buying tires for your car. It's stuff I don't want to spend money on, but when we're maintaining this many buildings, we have to. So like emergency catch basin repairs, we've had 2 water main breaks recently, one at the Marine City campus, one at Pine River. Those are all sinking fund eligible. And if these types of repairs and replacements were not provided for with the sinking fund, it would have to come out of our general fund, the education dollars that we receive from the state of Michigan. So this allows us to focus all of those dollars in our classrooms and keep the emergency repairs and replacements into the sinking fund budget. The reason for supporting, like I said, is to protect our general fund dollars in the classroom. We just passed a really big bond project. We want to, protect that project with any repairs that we need to make. So I appreciate your time this evening, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any tax increase?
No. This is a renewal. And I'm glad you asked that question because people always say, well, does that mean in real dollars? So what it means in real dollars is this renewal, no tax increase. If your house can sell for $100,000, market value $100,000, the tax is $20 a year, the sinking fund tax. So if your house can sell for $200,000, it's $40 a year. So those are the real dollars that would cost a taxpayer.
Not subject to Headley?
No, not subject to Headley.
Correct, just,
Yep, yep, it's a pay-as-you-go type of system.
Correct.
Yep.
What's the difference between the repairs that are being done with the bond in this?
The bond dollars were all allocated by project. So I know we have a budget for the Marine City campus. So that will all those upgrades and repairs, that money will go towards doing that we promised our community. The sinking fund is there in case, like I said, we had a water main break at that campus recently that took almost a week first to find it and then repair it. So it was an expensive repair. So the sinking fund dollars would be used to do that repair.
Okay.
Well, thank you again for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Superintendent. Anyone else? Andrew?
Hello, everybody. Andrew Pacladinas, 713 West Boulevard. I just wanted to thank everybody on both sides of the table who made a point to go to and put their input out for the work group meetings for 300 Broadway and 303 South Water Street. Hopefully, the resolution that we come to will be in the best interest of everybody involved, and I have faith that it will be. So just thank you to everybody that showed interest and came out to support the process. So thank you.
Thank you. Andrew Pacladinas. Anyone else? Phil?
Phil Polakshak. In reference to the budget workshop meeting that was held on 4/12/2022, City Manager Holly Tapman brought up to Commissioner Lisa Hendrick that she had been grateful if certain things were brought to her attention regarding the budget, and there was a two-way street. Here's some issues with that. It is not Commissioner Hendrick or any other commissioner's responsibility to prepare the budget as a city manager's. If the city manager was having a difficult time navigating this, then the city manager should have asked for help. See Charter Section 3.9. Another comment was made, I don't have a treasurer. You have a company in place of a treasurer until a new one starts, and we've just hired one. As soon as you hired in Holly Tapman, our old treasurer was placed on administrative leave with a pay after filing a complaint against you. In the community, I don't recall ever having issues arise with our old treasurer. In fact, in January of 2021, McBride from McBride and Manley, the group that audits the city, congratulated both Elaine Levin, our former city manager, and Megan Pierce, our former treasurer, for an excellent job preparing the audit for that year. What suddenly changed? The city paid the law firm Fisher and Phillips, LLP, $34,850 to do an investigation into the complaint filed by the treasurer against the city manager. Then that report was never released to the public, and our mayor talked about shredding it. Release this report. It needs to be made public so people can see the outcome of this investigation. It was paid for by taxpayer money. For reference, under your expenditures, check page 16 of your current packet for your approval for invoices. And how I know that $34,000 is going to that investigation is the commission went into a closed session a couple meetings ago. I stayed for when they opened back up, and when they opened back up, they approved the payment or to pay the invoice from Fisher and Phillips for that investigation. So that's how I know those two are linked together. Next thing is I've been dabbling a little bit in the Planning Commission, mainly following minutes, things like that. I actually happened to FOIA the audio from the last one because we've been doing a lot of zoning stuff, and I kind of want to hear what's going on. I just wanted to bring up something that kind of caught my attention. Our city manager had brought up the idea of the potential of possibly trying to annex part of Cotterville Township, the King Road portion down Chartier, then moving north, that whole section, into the city of Marine City. I've never heard anything about that in the public light until I listened to that audio. Then I heard that. If that's an idea, whether it be for good, for bad, I don't know right now, but if that's an idea the city manager has, I think the city manager should bring it before the entire commission. It should be talked about publicly. Any research for anything into it needs to be approved by the commission, and it should be something the commissions, they represent all of us as a whole, should decide if that's what the city would be interested in going forward with. Thank you.
Joe?
Joe Moran, 710 Pleasant Street. First of all, as chairman of the Planning Commission, I'd like to point out that things are discussed on the level of the Planning Commission because we're responsible for things like zoning and the master plan and so forth. Any decision would have to be forwarded to the City Commission, but that's based on our research first. If it doesn't hold water, there's no point in involving the commission in the interest. Phil, I appreciate you and others standing up and talking about things that concern you, and usually it's about something we're doing wrong here in the city, which, I don't know. You stand up for truth, justice, and the American way, but lately it sounds more like you're looking less for justice and more for vengeance, and I don't think that's appropriate. During our community and economic development meetings, we've been working with a book called 13 Ways to Kill Your Community by a gentleman named Doug Griffiths. And the primary way he alludes to kill a community is to create an atmosphere, an attitude that discourages new business, turns off new residents, and turns off people from wanting to contribute to the community, to volunteer, to serve on city planning or city commissions and boards. You need to understand that continual public displays of rancor and negativity and the social media ranting that goes on in this town would sour a grape. And it has a negative impact on our community. Marine City needs to attract new businesses. We need to attract new residents. We need to encourage youth and seniors to want to come forward, serve on the City Commission, serve on the Planning Commission, serve on the Community and Economic Development Board, serve on the Library Board. We need their participation. But the continual negativity that segments of this town put out turn those people off. We've got members of this City Commission right now that no longer wish to run, that no longer wish to be a part of this City Commission because of the negativity. There's lots of good things happening in Marine City. This is a wonderful town, and we have a lot of new projects coming forth. But we need to remain positive. We need to maintain a we're successful attitude to keep these projects and keep this momentum going. Complaining and blaming are easy. Taking responsibility is not so easy. Fixing issues, solving problems requires cooperation and a positive attitude to move a community forward. It starts and ends with all of us. It's a question of attitude. There are many things you cannot change in this life, but you can always change your attitude. So I'm going to challenge everyone here, everyone in Marine City, to give yourselves a checkup from the neck up. Is what you're doing, is what you're putting out having a positive impact on Marine City? Are you and those around you contributing to killing our town or making it prosper? Something to think about. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moran. Anyone else? Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
Rosalie.
Rosemary.
Oh, go ahead.
Do we need to share any, Rosalie?
No, I think I've got enough for everybody. I think I do.
We're good, we're good.
And
Thank you. Gotcha.
Joe, can you bring me something to drink, please? No, I'm just
Rosalie Squires, 211 Michigan. I've lived here almost 28 years. I live in Mariners Landing condos. I know I've talked about this the last 2 meetings, and I have a continuous problem with the dog next door to me. The dog's a really sweet dog. In fact, I wish she'd just give me the dog, because then I feel so sorry for that dog. That dog, like, never gets walked. But for a lot of times, I just clean up the waste material. Like this morning, I got up, and just to put it into perspective, this is an old picture when we first moved in there. And it's not like I don't like dogs. If you see the dog on the porch, that was my dog at the time. And you see where my front window is and where the driveway is. I open up my window there, in the front window, because it's nice today. I want to air the house or condo out. And, you know, when there's poop along the driveway, it just blows right. You can smell it right there. I know I keep getting different opinions. Supposedly, you know, you can't supposedly do anything because it's private. But yet in the zoning laws, which I have under animal waste, it says that the owner of every animal should be responsible for the removal of excreta disposited by his or her animals on public walks, recreation areas, or public property. So even if it's private in there, that says it there, that's supposed to cover private property. This is a pretty old rule. We've had it for a while, and I know I've got an old rule book when Biff LeBoon was in office, and some of this stuff is pretty much the same stuff, maybe renewed a little bit, but you know, and it talks about in the next line, 3, it does talk about offensive odors and conditions. Well, obviously, it's offensive. I mean, I don't really, like I said, I rescued a Rhodesian Ridgeback. He was 110 pounds, so it was like picking up after a pony, and I did that for years, not living here, but living in where I used to live. And so this dog isn't as big as the Rhodesian Ridgeback, and you know, I just pick up the poop. It's just in a bag. I don't even understand what the owner's problem is. It just is not that hard to pick up after a dog. So, but yeah, I mean, she's constantly angry about this. She's angry that I'm picking up. I've been called everything but a white woman. She just yells at me constantly. I don't know how this gets solved. I don't think I'm asking a lot, just to make sure that there's not crap all over along the driveway. So any input that could be given me, I'd really appreciate it, because the condo board, as I've got that letter in there where they wrote her a letter, and it cites some of the zoning ordinances. So the condo management company that we pay is saying, and they've had lawyers involved in this, they say that, you know, it's supposed to be enforced by the city. The city tells me they can't come in here. This isn't a bad position to be in. I don't particularly enjoy being yelled at, but hey, whatever it takes just to keep the smell out of there. Thank you very much. I'm sorry that I have to complain about this, but it's been going on a long time. And if you see on that, you know, like you see, I have a little dog there. I mean, I cleaned up after my dog, so I just don't understand, you know, why this is being allowed to go on and go on and go on. Thank you so much for your time.
Rosalie, what's the date on this letter? There's no date.
It was an email, so it's the 14th of February. That's when I got it. And that was so conflicting to me, because I was just told in the second that it's private in there, and then she writes this letter as the answer. You know, as regards to social media, man, social media is just going crazy with everything. Churches, everything. I gave up on my Facebook page. I don't know, I think sometimes if people would just say things face to face, they would never say these things. They get to hide behind a barrier of the internet. It's certainly not a good thing, but it is what it is. I just keep praying that it gets better. Thank you so much.
Anyone else? All right. Moving on, can I have a motion to,
Excuse me, before we move on, it looked like they wanted us to approve this tonight, so can we somehow back up and put this on the agenda?
I have a slight concern about adding that to the agenda tonight because the city currently has a moratorium in place regarding putting anything in parks. So
Okay.
there's more to this, there's gonna be more to this than just a single vote for this. I really would like to bring the moratorium to you all so you can see. You'd have to make a decision to waive that and then do this. So I would like to push this to next month when I can actually bring you the proper material to make the right decision.
Okay, is that gonna be okay?
Is that,
Should be.
They just want it done by Memorial, so
Yeah.
that gives us another month.
Okay.
Yeah,
You want me to go, Mike?
No,
Well-
you don't have to.
yeah.
If it has to be okay, I guess it has to be okay. And we kind of, under a misunderstanding, coming here today, we thought we could get it approved to put it in. And, we'd love to have it there before Memorial Day. And,
The wheels of government, we have to, you have to be on the agenda and there's rules, so,
I'm familiar with the wheels of government, I know how to spin my wheels too.
yeah. Yeah.
But we'd love to, if there's, some way to do it, we'd be glad to.
We'll put it on the next agenda and we most certainly appreciate everyone coming.
Is there any way we could put it on the budget meeting for May 5th?
Yeah, there's a special committee,
Yeah.
committee.
the
Is that
agenda hasn't been formed for it, so if
Is
you
that
guys are
acceptable?
okay with
Still
that.
working.
It's acceptable for me.
Yep.
Okay, works.
Does that help
So we'll
you
get
out?
it done
Is that better?
sooner.
Does that help you out, sir?
Super, May 5th,
Yeah.
Right.
Can
should we be here?
I get the contact information?
I don't,
Yeah, can we just
we get
get your
some
contact
contact
information?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Jim Fernandez. Danny Daniels, Carol Daniels back there. Way over here, so I don't have to holler. 5622 King Road, China, Michigan is where I live.
that's good.
The monument project has been an ongoing project for several years now. We would love to have it in for Memorial Day.
I'm sure that you don't want to publicly state your phone number. Can you come right down your?
Sure,
phone number for me?
I can publicly state it.
Okay, I didn't know if you wanted to or not.
Yeah, yeah, I get enough robocalls and all that other stuff too. I'll be glad,
So he
I'll be
just
glad to
won't
get a
answer
phone
it.
call from you, 810-459-8315,
Okay, thank you.
okay?
Got that.
Anything else?
Oh,
I think we're all set.
Okay,
We're good.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you again,
Thank
you
you.
guys. Appreciate you coming. Okay. All right, I need, can I have a motion to approve the city commission meeting minutes of March 17th, 2022?
So moved.
Support?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And can I have a motion to approve the city commission meeting, the closed session meeting minutes of March 17th, 2022?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. And now for the consent agenda. We have a big one. I've got the departmental activity reports, the Marine City Area Fire Authority Run Report, the UHY invoices that are for review for in the activities report, the Building Department invoices for review and activities report, the Planning Commission meeting minutes of February 14th, 2022, the Planning Commission meeting minutes of March 14th, 2022, the Community and Economic Development meeting minutes of February 23, 2022, City-Owned Property Workshop meeting minutes, March 7th, 2022, the Election Commission meeting minutes, October 1st, 2020. 2020, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Business license for Captain Sal's Marina service. Captain Sal took over Marine Drive Systems, right? Letting the public know where they're located, since it's a new business, on South Parker, right by the boat launch. We also have a business license for MI Rush Power Sports, which is right at the corner of Chartier and Parker, across from CVS. We have a special event, the Summer Splash Bash. And don't forget, there's a $10,000 cash giveaway, a raffle, not a giveaway, a raffle. I want to clarify that.
You gotta buy the tickets.
Yeah, I'm there. It's a raffle, but you can win $10,000. And you can get tickets like all over the place. And that's for the Chamber of Commerce. And then there's also another special event, the Marine City Garden Club Flower Sale. When is the flower sale? Do we, just really quickly so we can announce that? I looked and I didn't look.
I believe.
The 20th and 21st
Yes.
of May,
May 20th and 21st,
9 to 5.
and that's usually at 300 Broadway, so that's
Yeah.
going to be the Marine City Flower Club sale. All right, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda, letters A through M.
Support.
Discussion on anything? All right, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Callahan,
Yes.
Commissioner Klassen,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Mayor Verkaman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to financial business, I have expenditures including payroll for $547,704.75. Can I have a motion to approve expenditures?
I make a motion to approve expenditures for $547,704.75.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any questions?
I did have one question. I'm sorry.
Okay.
One just really goofy point, but it says the run dates are 4/21 to 4/21. Is it the same day or was it 4/12? Because it was printed on 4/12.
Yes, I believe you are correct.
Okay.
Yes,
Typo,
yes.
flip-flop the 2 and the 1. Good, that makes it make sense.
Yep.
And then on page 16, was that a refund for supplies? It's the thing that says, Mike. Second to last page, makes it easy, sorry.
You did have a, you want to speak to it?
Yeah. We ordered parts, ordered chemicals from USA Blue Book. They sent us too many, charged us too much. We sent it back, they gave us back.
Cool, okay, just checking. That is all.
Anyone else? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Callahan,
Yes.
Commissioner Klassen,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Mayor Verkaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
No.
Motion carries.
And then we have preliminary financial statements, just a motion to receive and file.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion to support. Any discussion on the preliminary financial statements? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, moving on to unfinished business. We have the Code of Ethics draft. And Holly, you didn't receive any input from anybody on the board?
Correct.
Correct, so no
we
input.
waited a month, waited for any input. We did not receive any. Again, the Code of Ethics it's a very basic document. Everybody has one except us. This was put together using multiple municipalities' input, and it's a very basic public servants code of ethics that should be a standard document that we should have on file.
And this is for everyone, right? All staff, department managers, commissioners, board members?
Absolutely,
Yes, everybody that serves the city.
yes.
Just a point, I did send in information, but I had forwarded it to the attorney since I knew he was reviewing.
Yeah, I think your issue was related to,
Well, it was, I sent you what the state had put together.
yeah, and particularly you had mentioned the issue of, we really shouldn't be receiving any gifts at all, which was addressed in here. We changed the language to accommodate that a little bit.
but you still allow meals and entertainment. I mean, I know at my business, they took everything away.
General Motors took all the fun out of life.
Yes, they did.
We
are not-
didn't quite.
No, I mean, I know for working for the feds, you're still allowed to receive very small gifts, but it's still there. If someone wants to buy you a dinner or something, it's not a big deal.
That's how we tempered the language down.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great thing. I mean, I've signed something very similar to this when I was working for the federal government. I mean, I don't know many that don't have anything like this now.
So everybody will receive this and sign it and get a copy?
Yes.
Great. Right, okay.
I apologize for not sending you feedback by email, but the only two questions I had were on page 3, numbers 6 and 7. Familial interest, I was just curious if there's any guidelines there. I mean, it says familial interest, but not necessarily blood, and we are in a small town where a lot of people are related in some way, shape, or form. I just wanted to see if we had any extents to which, so it's again, page 3, number 6.
So you want to define familial?
Right, I mean, mother,
Right.
father, sister, brother, I mean,
Right. Like nepotism?
Yeah, I'm just giving an example, but for the, GM has the same thing. For big 3 employee discounts, they define specifically who
Right.
you're allowed to give it to.
Correct.
Right? And then, so I just think that clarity there would be appreciated. And then on number 7, it might be helpful to create a disclosure statement form.
Yes. I think if you go to definitions, we tried to.
Okay.
If you look at page 2, under definitions, number 7, we did define what it meant to be a relative. I know then what happens in that other paragraph is we use a different word, right?
Right, you don't use the word relative, you use familial interest, so.
You could
it would be-
certainly move forward on this with, subject to
Yeah.
that change. I understand what you're saying now. You didn't see the same term.
Correct, yeah, that's why.
Well, mine is a little different because I guess in my units, my people do not accept any gifts, dinner, pop, nothing. So, and I don't. I won't go out to lunch with anybody, and I won't take any gifts. They want to give it, they can give it to the mayor, but I'm not accepting any gifts from anybody.
I mean, I don't know if it is relative to this conversation, I mean, but there are folks in the community who bring in cookies or small little gift baskets at the holidays for the staff that work here. I mean, I'm certain they're less than $100, and then as the staff come through, they pick up the candy or the cookies or things like that. I think that's a very nice gesture by the community, and I would feel terrible actually saying,
Sorry,
no,
we can't accept it.
Yeah.
Give it to the mayor.
Your homemade cookies?
I
said they
mean-
can give them to the mayor. They're not just giving them to me or my employees in the building department.
Because of this situation, because I know one time a building inspector, when I used to live in Sutherland, I was picking tomatoes when he came by, and I wanted to give him some of my tomatoes. He said, "Oh, no, we can't accept that, because that would look like a bribe." So maybe it's this situation would be different.
Depends on who's looking at it.
We have a dollar amount on there, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
we
200.
tried to bootstrap it a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, in just taking the training through MML, they mentioned that, small gifts are acceptable and to be sure that you adhere to your city's guidelines for receiving of gifts, so.
Right.
This does it caps it at a dollar amount, and again, in my place of employment and in this, I think it puts it at a minimal amount that wouldn't curry any favors. It just keeps those little sentiments of, niceties
Right.
out of the area for potential scrutiny. That's all I think this is trying to do. And I think if we understand that as the spirit of it, then it's okay.
Yeah, I agree.
We don't have this issue where I work because nobody wants to give a lawyer a gift.
We'll share our
Correct.
cookies with you.
Right.
All right. Can I have a motion to
Wait, wait,
approve and adopt?
Still got a question.
Oh,
The
go ahead.
last page, where we're gonna work on what happens if somebody violates the rules. I just want to know how this is gonna work, since we've already had issues before. So it would have to be deemed that it was something that you actually found, not just hearsay or because the city didn't investigate anything properly.
We have to look into it. So if the complaint's brought forward, we
Yeah,
have to look into it and see if there's the basis for it.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure that this doesn't fall under the same mess that we have with the charter, where people's rights are not really, they're basically violated by that ordinance. So I just want to make sure that this isn't going to, I don't know how you're handling it, I guess is my question.
Well, it's supposed to come in, go to either myself, or if it includes me,
To
the
a
mayor or the attorney. We investigate and make sure the situation, to see what it is. If there is, it's viable, and then the
Okay.
steps would be taken based on the attorney's recommendations and in accordance with our ordinances. So,
I thought it was pretty cut and dry.
I thought.
Well,
I think so too.
the other one really isn't, our ordinance isn't cut and dry. I
Well,
mean,
we're going to be working on our
Yeah,
ordinances, believe me.
you're right, this has to make sure.
That
But if you
ordinance-
read,
This is where we're starting. We
if-
haven't gotten to the ordinances yet.
if
This
you
is
go,
where we're
if you,
starting.
if you back up a little, Lisa, go to page 5, under compliance and enforcement, second paragraph. Really, the written complaint comes to the city manager or the city commission.
okay,
So what I did there, or what we worked on there, was instead of having folks,
Excuse me.
instead of having folks having the right just to pick out one commissioner, take you out of that loop, and they either go to the city manager, or if the issue involves the city manager, they come to the commission as a whole.
okay.
I thought that was a little better than allowing them to just tackle one commissioner and bring the issue, and then we get caught up in the confusion of reporting and whatnot.
Yes, I just want to make sure that this is going to not violate anyone's rights
I think,
to a fair process,
I think,
is what I
I
meant.
think we spent some time making sure on this process, so
You can understand where I'm coming from.
I totally get it, and I just wanted to say,
I don't have any problem with an ethics policy,
then goes
but I
on,
want to make sure that it's handled properly and people aren't, their rights aren't violated.
so then it goes on to say, who shall cause same to be investigated by controlling authority as follows, and then it lists how you go along that. If it's elected and appointed public servants of the city, they report to the city manager. In matters concerning the city manager, then the person would go to this body as a whole. Employees, full and part-time of the city, report directly to the city manager. So, yeah, at least I understand what you're saying, and I think we took a little extra look at this to make sure it wasn't running afoul of anyone's rights.
Right, because we all want our rights protected.
Can I make a suggestion, though, that, and maybe it doesn't have to go here, but under definitions, make sure that city commission is defined as city commission as a whole?
As the elected body as a whole.
Yeah.
We can do that. That's a great point, Wendy. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
Okay.
you.
Does this need to be approved as a resolution or just a
Policy.
policy?
Yep. So with the changes being
Yep.
suggested?
Changes.
Yep, 2 changes, right.
Right.
Let me ask one more question. What,
3 changes.
we have another policy for the commission. Is that gonna,
It'll
Is that
be,
the code of conduct?
no, it's
Oh, it's in our handbook.
it's just a,
it's a city commission policy. We're going to make sure,
Yeah.
as we talked before, we have to start somewhere. And
I'm just saying, because all these things enter into the
Right.
next one, yeah.
so, we worked hard on, for example, making sure that we're going to have an email retention policy that's coming your way.
Yep.
That relies on it plus the state-adopted standards of retention. And I think as we, separate there's certain things for the clerk, certain things for the treasurer, certain things for commissioners on all of those. So that's coming your way. Then we're going to go to the code of conduct, which will be what you'll be receiving next with respect to potential review. And then we'll be going to the actual policies that you're describing that are already in existence. And as we go through there, we have to go backwards and make sure they're all in harmony.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to make sure that,
I understand.
Anyone else? Questions, comments, concerns? All right, so we have 3 changes, correct?
So
I
that's
thought
what
there was a verbiage.
That's what I counted, making sure that the term relatives is consistent with
Familial.
familial, making sure what Wendy said, that we define what is the commission.
Right.
And
Form for disclosure statement.
and get a form ready for the signed disclosure.
Right, okay. So, I need a motion to approve and adopt the Code of Ethics, I almost said ethics, with those 3 changes.
I'll make a motion to adopt the Code of Ethics as presented with the following amendments: to add under definitions, the definition of the city commission, that being the commission as a whole, that the definition of relative also includes familial interest, which is on number 6 of page 3, and that within number 7, a disclosure statement form is established.
Support.
All right, got a motion and support. We've already had discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Callahan?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick?
yes.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Mayor Verkaman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And now we're talking about the electronic mail management and retention policy draft. I need a motion to approve and adopt the electronic mail management and retention policy.
So moved.
Support.
Questions on this?
Page 2, number 2. Just me and.
Appointments and
yeah.
administer policy?
Shouldn't it be the Marine City manager? Silly, I know, but just wanted it to be, we're not the city of Marine anymore, we're Marine City, so it has to be that way. And then on page 6,
You're right. Page what? I'm sorry?
6.
yeah, number 5, it says, exceptions to the procedures in this document may be granted in writing by the Marine City supervisor. Isn't that really referring to the city manager?
Yes.
Also, okay, just want to be consistent in terms so there's no confusion. And
You
then-
were on D5 on that one?
No.
Above.
Above
Page
it.
6. Top of the page.
Oh,
It would be
bad five.
C5.
Thank you, sorry.
Top of the page. So supervisor should be replaced with city manager. And then finally, a tabular schedule would be really nice, that this, this goes through the definitions. Now we know what emails are defined as what. And, a disposed after 1 year, disposed after this much time, disposed when the city official is no longer in office, et cetera. It is kind of defined in here, but I'm just saying a tabular.
No, you're
format would be
absolutely correct. So
Really, really nice.
If you look at, A2 at the end, there's going to be an exhibit to this, the retention and disposal schedule. So the way the state has put it out now is exactly what you're saying. There's columns for easy reference.
Okay.
Kind of what is the document? When can you get rid of it? What is the document? And then behind it, as actually Phil had pointed out at one of the public comments, there's the retention schedule for local government offices. And then within that, then there's specific retentions for the clerk. There's specific retentions with respect to financial issues, specific retentions with respect to the minutes, and all of those are laid out. So as opposed to putting all of that into a policy and then having to change the policy every time the state gets a whim and changes the retention schedule. We're adopting the state retention schedule as it is and as it is ever amended. We're always following that retention schedule.
Would it be attached then? Because,
Yes.
whenever you say exhibit, it usually follows in the.
It'll be
document.
attached, but it's,
Okay, thank
it's
you.
like, it'll be in a binder, but it's this, you're talking about,
Okay,
It's huge.
it's not a small document.
okay, gotcha.
Well, in the building department, the retention I run into that all the time is they want to come in, a new clerk, treasurer, other people, they come in and they want to get rid, well, let's get rid of all the blueprints, let's get rid of all, you have a lot of paperwork in the building department. And the state law says I can't get rid of anything till the house is gone.
Correct, you're
That's
correct.
the retention there.
Bill, you're absolutely correct, and there's your own, you have your own section of the retention schedule.
Does somebody make a motion on this yet?
I did, so.
Yeah, we're in the discussion. It would need to be amended, but I have got one more point. That's the way they go. Would it be prudent to also have, in the same way we did the code of conduct, would it be prudent to have everyone sign that they have received it and are aware of it? That type of.
We could do that.
Is it, or is that overstepping?
No, not at all. We were gonna make a binder specific to each department so that, they weren't burdened with the retention schedule for everybody, and then we were gonna, this policy goes on top, because you really do need something separate on email since it's kind of a newer, faster changing issue. And then behind it will be the clerks, the financial department, the city manager, building, so, and then there'll be one master binder that has everything.
Anyone else? Anyone else?
So can I amend my motion to incorporate the 3 points that Commissioner Ross has brought up? The 2 typos plus the signatory page for everyone saying that they understand the policy.
Yep.
Good. Okay, roll call vote, please.
The supporter needs to
Yeah.
reinstate their support. I think it was you, Bill. Or was it me?
That's you.
It was me. I had support, sorry.
Talking to yourself.
Bill, yeah, I guess. Sorry.
I was like, no.
He's like, what?
Me.
Yeah.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Callahan,
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Mayor Rickman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Item C, work group for city-owned properties, the final minutes and recommendations approval. Can I have a motion to approve the work group minutes for March 21st, 2022?
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support, and then we're going to divide this in two, because we're going to do the sale of 303 Water Street first, correct? Yep. So, you want to talk about this a little bit? Because
Sure.
just to reiterate what the work group findings were, and
Just a brief recap. We went through a couple months of multiple work group meetings where the public was welcome to come and sit with a work group that was designated by this committee to discuss the options regarding 303 and 300 Broadway. Overwhelmingly, the conversations regarding 303 Water Street veered towards putting a for sale sign on it. Not that the city doesn't recognize the building and think it's cool and like the idea of having the extra piece of property on the riverfront. However, there's an understanding based on how the conversations went regarding 300 Broadway, the city can't financially keep both and afford both. So which one meant the most to the city is really how these conversations tended to go. Which one meant the most? Which one had the biggest impact? And overwhelmingly, 300 Broadway has a very significant feeling, and it's it's well recognized in the city as a center point for the community. And so in saying that, because the conversations were steering towards wanting to keep 300 Broadway, we have to do something with 303, and we can't afford to keep both. So by the end of everything, it was pretty overwhelming that the decision would be to probably sell 303 Water Street, or at least make the recommendation to you guys to sell 303 Water. Therefore, using the money from the sale of 303 Water to go into a restricted fund that would be primarily for the renovations, maintenance, and revitalization of 300 Broadway property, with also the disclaimer that a portion of that money is designated specifically to wherever and however the Guy Center is designated, because of the money being incorporated into the purchase of that building per the Guy family will. We have to designate a portion of that towards the Guy Center. That conversation can come later on exactly how much that is, how much you want it to be, and how that will work. But that's how the money would be divvied up. And it would essentially create a starter fund for the city to start backing their word of taking care of 300 Broadway. So, in a nutshell, that's kind of what happened.
And so just to also clarify for the public too, the people that sat on that work group were various people that we had some city commissioners, we had a planning commissioner, we had an economic development person, right? And then the city manager, and obviously the city or deputy clerk was there.
Yeah.
So that was all about the board, and these meetings were publicized and.
Yeah, and very open forum.
Very
It was
open
not
forum.
like a commission meeting where you had to go to the podium and everybody sat in their seat and raised their hand and had very, very good back and forth conversation.
Yeah.
I think it was very effective.
Yeah, for a work group, I attended them too, and yeah, I mean, I liked the format, and it was nice that that everybody was able to attend and, give input. It was
Agreed.
good.
Agreed.
Real quick procedural thing, do we need to approve the minutes before we actually vote on the minutes, before we discuss
The substance.
the substance and what we actually have to do?
We have to approve these minutes?
The minutes couldn't be improved. Normally, the minutes are approved at the work group, but there's not going to be a future work group. So the minutes
got
have to be
it.
approved by some measure
Okay.
of body.
All right, so yes.
So I think we have the motion, the second, just to approve the minutes.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
So can I have a motion to approve the Marine City Work Group for the city-owned properties, March 21st, 2022 meeting minutes?
But we didn't get them.
They're in the.
They're right here.
It's the.
They've been in our packet.
Lisa, they're switched up.
I know everything's not marked right.
I think.
C
it's
and D were
got
reversed.
flipped.
Oh, yeah.
C and D got
Just
flipped.
switch-
Flip
I
it.
just,
There you go,
I
they're
just
right
had the
there.
same issue and
Yeah.
figured it out. So
Yeah.
put 9D on the wage
The
train
title's
thing.
correct.
Yeah.
And 9C on the, should just be the next one.
Yep. So,
I did have a
I think
motion.
we have,
Bryson and Callahan both.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Motion
all right, so then we do a vote on the meeting minutes then?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that just a yay or nay vote or a roll call vote?
Yea or nay?
All right, so, so all in favor of the meeting minutes,
Aye.
thank you.
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? All right, so that part's done. So now we gotta go back to the motion, right, to approve the sale of 303 Water?
Yes,
Right,
that'd be next.
okay. So I need a motion to approve the sale of 303 Water Street.
So before we do that, just in the spirit of the code of conduct that we just went through, in terms of that, while all of that was going on, I was elected a board member on the Friends of City Hall. So I just wanted to openly disclose that that had been done, and that I was on the board of a separate entity you are all free to either force me to recuse myself from any further voting or not, but I don't think that it affected my judgment within that stance whatsoever, but I, again, in the spirit of full disclosure, wanted to disclose that to the group.
Thank you. I don't think it has any bearing. So,
Do we need to put that up to a vote? Does everybody need to vote that it matters or doesn't matter?
I don't think so.
No, if you believe it's a conflict, you can ask this commission to vote on whether they think it's a conflict, but I don't think you think it's a conflict. No. So we,
all right. Do I need a motion?
I'll make a motion, we proceed with the sale of 303 South Water Street.
If you wanted your exact motion that you made. Oh, wait.
Okay, here we go. The longer version. I'll make a motion, we sell 303 South Water Street and hold the proceeds in restricted fund until the city commission decides what the Guy Community Center should be with consideration to the will, resolution, and legal obligations that it entails.
That's so much better.
Support?
So we have a motion and support. Roll call vote, please.
Discussion.
Oh, sorry, I thought we discussed it. Go ahead.
Well, part of it is, I heard from a lot of people that they didn't like the time because they couldn't make it from their work for the meetings. The Guy Center is also very, very important to the public here. It's always been their community center. 300 Broadway has been a contentious issue here. I know a lot of people love the building, but it's been very contentious here. We've had 2 millage votes against it. We've had where they took 500 improperly from one of the TIFA funds for their. It is a beautiful building, but the amount of money we've already sunk into it, we've put in $1.25 million just in the exterior. And I'm sure with now the way things are running now, it's going to cost, their original estimates years ago was $2 to $3 million, and I'm sure that's going to be way higher now. The Guy Center is a smaller building, much better shape, beautiful view, could be fixed. I don't buy the ADA compliance issues. It wouldn't be that hard to fix that building because nobody would want to spend that kind of money if they had to do that, plus put money into the building on the other side. So it's unfortunate that a lot of people didn't come. They did put a lot of their voices and their concerns. I know it's on Facebook, but you still have to look at that. They were very troubled because that building's meant a lot to a lot of people here. So I, for one, am not in favor of selling the Guy Center. I'm glad that you're going to put some restrictions on how the funds that gets looked into. But I also want to know, how are you going to manage the which real estate agent and all that you're going to choose? We had several bids. Will that come at a different meeting?
So that's up to you guys on how you want to handle it. We have the list of the 5 that had actually responded to the RFP. There are a few of these realtors who have consistently, about every 2 weeks, reached out to me to find out what the status is, and I've let them know as we've been going through the motions. You can pick them, I can pick them, however you want to handle it, but I do think that out of respect for the folks who have stayed with us and did come out here to do the RFP, we should choose from the list.
Mm-hmm. Right. And since they've been contacting you, maybe we should add to the motion to approve you to choose a realtor.
That's up to you.
from the list.
You're the one that's getting the phone calls.
From the list.
Right, from the list.
At least perhaps to do it from the list.
Yeah, exactly.
Wouldn't disagree with that.
Yeah. Okay.
I will amend my motion to include providing the city manager the authority to choose from the realtor list that we've already received for the sale of the property.
And Holly, I just have a question, just to clarify everything. So when we were going through all the workshops, and did you receive any input from any other public members about the workshops and questions that they had, and anything that you received, you let the work group know about, correct?
We received some phone, like we would receive a random phone call or something like that, but it was, I want to say, maybe 2 that we got through that process.
2 phone calls, okay.
Yes, there were some comments made on Facebook. Most of the comments made on Facebook were so far out there that they weren't realistic. And with all due respect, we did weeks and weeks of meetings. We did them on different days. We did them on different times. We publicized it in every avenue possible. Pick up a phone, send us an email. Every avenue was available for the public to weigh in some way, shape, or form, even if they could not physically be here. We even televised them so people could watch them on the YouTube channel. That was intentional, because I said from day one, the workshop should be all-inclusive. We want the community here. We want them to know that this is truly about them, and we want them to weigh in. And I feel every opportunity was given to do so.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
To add, the meetings frequently went to about 7:30, so I mean.
Right,
there
anybody,
should have
yeah,
been
you could.
Some
And it was open
opportunity to
door.
overlap.
Yeah, it was an open door. You could just come in.
People would
if
come
you
and
wanted
go
to.
as the meeting progressed.
Right.
There would be a contract with the realtor?
Pardon?
There would be a contract with the realtor?
Oh, yes.
And that has to be
Yeah.
approved by the board?
Absolutely.
Anyone else? All right, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick?
No.
Commissioner Callahan?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
I'm next on that. Say yes, but
Is that a yes?
yes.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Verkaman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And moving down to 300 Broadway. Can I have a motion to return 300 Broadway to being a city-operated, and terminate the lease with Friends of City Hall? Do we have verbiage on that?
Let's see, I have verbiage on it, but I think we're gonna have to have a little discussion afterwards, but I'll put
For
a
sure.
motion out there to talk about. Let's see, I'll make a motion that the city maintain ownership of 300 Broadway and put in place a board comprised of representatives from the City Commission, Community and Economic Development Board, Historical Commission, and Friends of City Hall at a minimum to oversee the rehabilitation, restoration, and use of the structure.
Right, so that is so one representative from each.
And
Right.
I think we need to
Yeah,
flush
okay.
that out a
That'd
little
be
bit
an
here.
additional conversation at
Yep.
some future time, yes. but-
Okay. There's the motion.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support discussion.
Right, so the motion didn't include severing the lease.
When is the lease up? And do we have the right to sever it?
When is the lease up?
I believe it's just been until it is terminated. It was like $1 lease to
Oh, that's
do
right.
until
Yeah.
no end date kind of thing, so.
I mean, I
but
feel
yes.
it would be fair to at least give some sort of notice, because they meet in there. Hopefully that wouldn't end.
Right.
It seemed like those types of activities were still going to continue, hopefully.
You could say in the motion to terminate the existing lease and restructure the relationship with the Friends of City Hall.
Good.
That would be prudent.
What Bob said.
Good. And you,
So, I mean,
and Wendy seconds that motion.
my preference would be, before we actually vote on this, to actually discuss what this oversight board should be comprised of. Because without that, then the structure, the structure is just gonna go down the tubes. You know, we need a good oversight board to make sure this thing goes, up instead of down.
Right, right. Well, how about this? Community and economic development. You want it to be 5 people, right? I mean, because otherwise, then you gotta,
would.
yeah. Somebody from the Friends of City Hall,
Yes, definitely.
Chamber of Commerce, Historic Commission, and City Commission.
That's 5.
That's 5.
Another
And
suggestion.
it represents everybody.
Another suggestion was a representative from the public.
Yeah, and what about the public, somebody from the community?
Does that make it 6 then?
That makes it 6.
Yeah.
And I think because you're using sub-boards versus necessarily your commission is only having one person and your sub-boards, those are your residents, those are your business owners, they are the public separate from you guys, And if a 5-member board, remember too, whatever they do will be a recommendation up to you guys.
Still gonna be a recommending body, and
Right.
final
Right.
decisions come back
Right.
to the commission.
And they would be open forum meetings, subject to the Open Meeting Act, so they would always be public. People would attend the meetings, you'd get your public feedback.
Right.
I think one of the things, though, is it's important, I know it's in our charter about, I know the Community and Economic Development Board is different, but we did that one because they have no power. This one here, I think, to me, these should all be residents. This building belongs to the residents, and all the people on this board should be residents of the community. I mean, that's typically how everything's been structured here, including the Historic Society, all of it. They had to be a resident.
The only thing that concerns me with that a little bit, Lisa, is your chamber person potentially. And your chamber's the one who sponsors more than half the events in the city to do things, and they,
But it's
I
unfortunate
think
that
you're
the-
leaving out a population, and that's one member on that board that could potentially not be, but they have a vested interest in this community somehow through a business. They do so much for this community, I think that could be problematic to,
I'm gonna challenge that because the bulk of the business owners that I talk to, they don't even join the chamber.
That's not true.
There is a lot of them, they do not join
It's
it.
not true.
So,
Would it be
to
all
me,
right, Lisa, if it
it's-
was
it's gotta be a resident.
a resident or a existing business owner?
well, we have a lot of business owners that live here.
Well, it's sort of an or, the people on this board have to be a resident and/or a business owner in the community.
I just think they should all be residents, even if they're a business owner. I'm telling you, it's always been a real, it's been a real sore spot in this community. I mean, I've sat through a lot of meetings about this building, and it's been a very, very sore spot. So I think you really need to make sure you have all residents, whether they're on chamber, they're business owners, whatever they're gonna be on here, they should be a resident. It's their building.
Yeah, but then you really start limiting, again.
No, you don't.
A business owner has a vested interest, the taxpayer, they're,
But the charter
There-
states that they have to be residents.
what do you think?
Do we have to research the lease agreement?
no,
Mm-mm,
Are you sure we're not gonna get in any trouble with that?
no.
no.
City attorney said no.
You got a hand back there. I don't know if you want
Or, yes, we're not gonna get in
You
trouble.
got a hand back there, I don't know if you want
I think legally you probably aren't gonna get any trouble, but you certainly aren't gonna make any friends with some of those people in the Friends of City Hall by killing off their.
Well,
have a
that's why I
Can you
changed the motion to say, and restructure the relationship.
Yeah,
So that we're not trying to alienate the Friends of City Hall.
right, because we don't want to alienate anybody.
No.
Andrew, do you have a question?
I just wanted to bring up the point, apart from any of the other boards or groups, or boards anyways in town, there are a lot of members of Friends of City Hall who are not residents. And if there is a group that has a vested interest in City Hall, it is going to be Friends of City Hall.
Mhm.
So take that into consideration if you don't.
Right,
Understand it. We went through that with the
Right.
historic board because some of them were on there and some of them had to get off because it was enforced, unfortunately. So I guess we have to watch out with the charter issues, is where I'm pointing out.
Can we call it something, can we call it something other than a board then? If that's gonna be an issue with our ordinance, Bob? Can we call it something different?
Well, you could call it you don't have any standing committees, but you could call it a committee. Just make it a committee.
Or advisory board.
And all of your committees have no decision-making power. Everything they do is a recommendation back to this board.
That would work.
An advisory board?
Just a committee.
Just a committee?
Yeah.
There you go.
And then what's the committee going to do?
Well, from my understanding and from the work group conversations, it sounded like they would be really the drivers to oversee, prioritize what it is that the building and the grounds needs. They would take into consideration public feedback, conversations with Mike from DPW on necessary repairs and maintenance, prioritize the needs, figure out how much it's gonna cost, and start plugging away at things.
And bring it back to you guys.
Exactly. They would kick all their recommendations up to you. When they need money, they're gonna have to come to you to pull it out of the restricted fund anyway. So they're just really a group to not let the fire die out. I mean, we heard a lot about the city dropped the ball so many years ago on this building. Well, this is what we wanna do to prove to the community that that's not gonna happen again. There's this committee who's gonna keep the fire lit, and even if we have a lull period, and say we have a commission that's, really penny pinchers and doesn't want to spend a lot of money, this subcommittee is still going to be driving the initiatives and not letting the goals fall. So I think that they will just continue to work towards making that building everything that the city thinks it can be, work towards finding other uses for it, find an avenue to have it be actually a revenue stream to feed itself, to continue its maintenance into the future.
Research grants.
Definitely, we will definitely be having to go after grants for it. And that committee can help us find some of those even. I mean, do a little research and help find stuff for us to go after. I think they'd serve a huge purpose.
I think one of the goals for the committee should be to get the building to a point where, at least for the maintenance to maintain it, it is self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Through outside activities, leases, et cetera, but,
all rentals.
obviously you're gonna need a significantly larger amount of capital to rehabilitate it completely, but at least so that the ongoing maintenance is covered through leases, rentals, et cetera.
Question, so the Chamber of Commerce, are you talking about the Chamber of Commerce board? Or just a Chamber of Commerce member?
I would think somebody from the board.
I mean, what was written in and said in Jacob's motion was
Member.
Community and Economic Development Board, the CEDB, that. I don't think Chamber of Commerce was actually even listed.
No, Cheryl suggested it
Oh, gotcha.
to equal out to the 5, to
Sorry.
round out to
Just
5.
so that everybody's
Yeah.
included.
Yeah.
Because it should be a community effort,
A balance.
Yeah.
a balance.
And whoever, and how it's decided, if the board, if you're giving the power to these boards to say, okay, you nominate the person that's gonna sit on this, or if you guys are gonna choose the person, however that individual is chosen from each of these other groups, I would highly recommend that the person chosen is a mover and shaker, has a vested interest in the community, wants to see progress in the building. You're not gonna choose somebody who isn't gonna come to a meeting.
Right, creative ideas.
Yeah.
Because, people get the impression that that building is crumbling. It does need work, but I've been in it numerous times recently.
Pretty sound.
And, we can do tours. We would not be allowed to do tours of the building if it was condemned and falling apart. So, there is possibilities quickly to start making money on it. And plus the grants. The grants are huge when it's city
And
owned.
the sale of 303 is going to create the pot of money that you can even start using for the matching funds to go after the grants.
Yeah.
Because we know the grand scheme of it, the however much we get from the sale of it isn't gonna put a dent in the overall need of that building. But it sure would be nice to have some matching fund dollars to go after bigger dollars.
Yeah, and, you know, with the tours and stuff like that, like I mentioned, that's where it's so important to keep the Historic Commission and, you know, Friends of City Hall involved, you know, because they know so much about it, you know? Yeah, it's definitely a community effort. Okay.
Were the Friends of City Hall notified that you're gonna cancel their lease?
I believe that I don't think, full disclosure, I did not use the words, "we are going to cancel your lease," but in multiple conversations that I've had with Judy, Andrew's been in those meetings as well, I have said it would come, based on this recommendation, it would come back into city
Tonight.
control, which
Yep.
means we would be in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
And that's why, as I've heard some of the conversations about renovations and things that they've been talking about, I said, you know, pump your brakes a little bit on some of these things, because if the city does bring it back in, it's gonna have to go through this board for approval and what the vision is of the city to do. So they're well aware.
They're well aware.
Okay.
Well, back in the time, that building was never condemned.
Right.
Never.
No, right, correct.
And.
Correct. Some people think it is, but it was
and
not,
they-
never.
Pardon me?
Some people.
And they also tried to get grants through the city, and the city, at that time, the way the state was to get grants, we couldn't get them because
Yeah.
we owned the building. And they said, fix your own building.
Yeah. It's always been a
So
problem.
that's where the problem was with the grants back then.
I think that times have changed a lot with grant money,
Hopefully.
especially with historic buildings. I've had conversations with MEDC when I was talking about both buildings and was asking them what their thoughts were on which one would actually be easier to get money. You know, a waterfront property, because they have waterfront specific grants. And they told me historic. You're gonna be way more well off going historic, and then your private foundations often will service historic. So I don't think in the times that we're in right now with this much grant money that's out there, I don't think it'll be as hard as when they tried the last time.
Especially
If you
now.
ever get up and top, in the attic space, you'll see how well built that building is.
I think, yeah, there was some public comment, Madam Mayor, if you wanted to.
Go ahead.
Just real quick interjection. We're gonna go out of the committee, instead of maybe having 5 members, so you guys get your people from the boards on there, that's fine, it's like a good idea there. Could we maybe go a 7-member committee, and then there could be 2 slots available for just residents? It kind of meets everyone, compromises, meets in the middle, just extend the number out by 2 and then make those slots available for residents. You still have the majority of your board members, but then the residents can also be part of it too. Just an idea.
Thanks, Phil. With respect to this committee or board or whatever it ends up getting called,
Committee.
the only thing that, the biggest bit of feedback I got in any of the work group meetings was that the city abandoned it years ago, and it needs to really take ownership of it. And, you know, how do we, the community, get reassured that the city isn't just going to repeat history? So again, I just think that the work group feedback kind of demanded that this committee have some teeth. And I just worry that if it's a committee and has only recommendation power, that it could just be ignored by any city commission, so.
It's no different than the EDA. It has no authority for anything. It has
Okay.
no teeth, and that's the way we had to make it, because, you know, you have to be careful with these. This board has to make the decisions.
Sure.
So, and as far as abandoning it, there's a lot more to that as far as what happened over the years. Like I said, we had 2 millage votes. People just didn't want to put the money into it. It was just not, they want their roads fixed, they want other things fixed. They like the building, but it wasn't a priority to them, and so that's kind of why it, and at the time, you know, when 2008 hit, we didn't have the money to put into
Sure,
the
no.
building or anything else.
That I get, yep.
So, I mean, it was a whole lot of things that caused it.
One of the other things too, Brian, that might make you feel better about it is because the money would be earmarked into a line item specifically for 300 Broadway from the sale of 303, you're going to have a line item that's going to be sitting there in every budget and every year that can't be touched unless that's its purpose. So I think that helps keep the fire burning as well, because it's going to be staring at you all the time. It's there. And this board is going to be trying, or excuse me, committee is going to be trying to do things and bring recommendations to the commission requesting the use of that money for repairs or grants or whatever it is. So I think that may help drive it a little bit too, because otherwise it's just going to sit there.
Since you're talking about that, question for you, Bob. I know you've written several opinions about some of this stuff, but do we have one technically about the sale? Because I know the information I have, I'm hearing different from what I'm hearing today about what can be done with the money. So have you done any opinion and research onto that?
I gave you a very, very detailed opinion about the history of the will and the testament and the establishment of the fund, and the only thing we're missing right now is our accountant, our auditor, is going to come up with the formula of how much of the sale proceeds. You have to take a look at when we got the bequeath, we took that money, we sold the properties that were given to us, and we had a little bit of money. We used that money to buy the Guy Center, but we combined that money with some money out of our general fund. So it's not a dollar for dollar, and we asked Curtis to come up with, when we sell 303, what percentage of that money has to be allocated back into the community center column of the will and testament of the folks who left you guys that property. I gave you
Can you resend that?
Yeah, it's got multiple exhibits. I retraced the history of the.
I remember you doing it.
I have it decently recent, I can.
But I don't remember if it included like the total amount. I know you did all the other research.
Yeah, I think.
But when it came down to the sale of the building.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't know at the time what the
Right.
what the sale number would be. But we did meet with Curtis on this, and he told us how you're going to have to.
That's the portion I'm looking for.
Right, and it's not there.
What information do you have?
She has the same memo that we all probably have.
Well, I have some other, I've got
She
information
mentioned
that I
other
got from
information. I
the
was
prior attorney.
Curious if you
So
saw it.
I'm just trying to make sure that
No,
everything's on the same page.
I don't have that.
Yeah, I had advised everybody to talk to him because he's the one that did broker the deal years ago. He's very, very familiar with the whole entire thing. So it would be prudent for everybody to talk to Mr. Yakum.
I remember you said that, and I called him, and I didn't get anything new that I didn't have.
Yeah, well,
But you can.
but it
say-
depends on what you ask him, you know.
I just
So-
asked him for materials related.
Well, yeah, he sent all that and I have all that.
Can you
but
just send me what you have, and I'll send you what I have?
I'll see if I can go back, but the problem is there's so much trouble with the city's emails. I can't get into my old emails to get some of the stuff out. I'll bring that up later because there's an issue there.
If you have something, let me know.
Just quick point. Online, on your computer, you can get anything?
No.
That's been my
It
experience.
goes into
Oh.
some type of goofy loop and I
Okay.
told,
But app-wise, you can only go back so far, then it stops displaying. You can thumb up as much as you want, and it doesn't do anything. But if you search for it,
yeah.
if you can remember,
If I
some
do a
keywords in the
search
email.
and it brings it up and I try to select it, it wipes them all out. It does, I showed it to one of the techs, they have no clue what it's doing.
That's
It's very bizarre.
High-tech.
And so it's caused me trouble trying to get back to some of my access stuff, so.
I had ITT look at mine because I'm having the same problem getting emails. And he said he can't find it because he sends his and it comes through. But when I get stuff from here or I send it from home, it won't go to my email.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to
Okay.
get it into an IT discussion, but you've got your previous
I have a whole previous
opinion,
analysis and all the exhibits.
I think Bob sent me something and then he called me back and said it didn't go.
Yeah, I was having trouble emailing you anything, right?
So, We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion?
Or amendments?
Okay.
So are we doing 5 or 7 on the board?
The motion
5.
is for 5.
Motion's for 5.
Yep.
We don't want to entertain 7?
I would.
Now would be the time.
Well, how would you choose them?
That's a good
You
question.
can put in just like
mean-
you said, get a couple residents. I mean,
How do you choose those residents?
What residents?
Right.
you
It's
put
hard
an
enough getting
application
board
out and-
members.
That's what public comment's for. I mean, with all due respect, that's what your government's for. You set your boards, you set your committees.
It's an open
Public
meeting.
comment is for time for your residents and to comment. I don't know how you would fairly choose a resident from another resident. I wouldn't go down that road.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, we haven't put it out there.
You do it
Ask
for every
them to
other
do it.
board.
Right now, we're at a 5. If you ask them, then we have to put it out there. So would we have to table this till the next meeting?
Well, one of the things you could do is you could approve this 5-person committee with the instruction that the 5-person committee select 2 citizens to add to the committee
But how do you do that?
by height.
A lottery, you know?
We do it for every
So
board.
Joel, you're gonna be on
Put a
another, you're gonna be
application
on
out,
another
fill 'em
committee.
out,
And then how do you choose them? That's the,
I
you
know,
then
that's all
now
I
you're
can
getting
think of.
into a whole
Draw 'em out of a
can
hat.
of worms. No.
I mean, there's ways to do it, but I think you just need to include them.
It's a public meeting.
It doesn't,
They're all public
being
meetings.
on the
No
board
one's-
is different though than just being out in the public.
No one's hiding anything. It's a public meeting.
Not saying that. I'm just saying it just makes it look better for the public that they're included.
Well,
They're always included.
Well, it's
They
not
are.
the same.
They're always
They're
included.
always included.
now is your time to make that decision.
I think what Bob's suggestion was, let the committee pick 2 extra people. I think that's fair.
Residents.
Yes, residents.
Because this committee has no
Decision-making.
decision-making authority, correct?
You are correct, Wendy.
But it'd still make motions for recommendations.
It does.
And it would, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Andrew?
Being that this is changing to a committee, does that change term duration or anything like that?
No, the committee lasts as long as the function remains viable,
I mean,
but we don't have permanent committees.
I mean for the members, not.
No.
I mean, I think he means the elected members.
They would change with the terms.
Public
If they were
Sure,
somebody
if
was,
one of us got
Yeah.
voted out
Yes.
and happened to be on that board.
somebody new would have to be nominated, yeah.
The other question is, do you want to have not a cap per se, but a set term, for lack of a better word, where the committee members that are on this board at least have to say, yes, I want to do this again, et cetera, instead of having someone be on it and all of a sudden they have essentially an appointment for life until they either resign or, resign from a board depending on which seat they're on.
Yeah, we can do it like our other boards. You have to be reapproved, after your term or whatever the term is.
Every 2 years, every 4 years, et cetera, and stagger it. So the last thing you want to do is lose everyone at the same time and lose all your corporate knowledge.
Yeah.
Rep from this,
Yep.
Yeah.
you're no longer in office.
Thank you. So, so that would be part of the, we'd have to make an amendment to the original motion then.
So let's see, how do we want to do this? I'll amend my original motion to include a committee made up of, let me see your cheat sheet, sorry.
My cheat sheet.
1 member from the Community and Economic Development Board, 1 member from the Friends of City Hall, 1 member from the Chamber of Commerce, 1 member from the Historic Commission, 1 city commissioner, and 2 members of the public to be chosen by the 5 members that I've previously stated, and I recommend further amending it to include a, let's see, what, 2-year?
At least 2, yeah.
2-year
For sure.
terms for each seat on a rotating basis, so that no more than, 25% of the board turns over at any given time.
You need my support again. Support for the third time.
Did that also include the stuff Bob said about
Yeah.
revamping of the lease?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you did that the first one.
Shannon's got it all in the minute.
Yes.
Okay.
I was going to say, how many erasures do you have now? Okay, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Well, you want to read it, the whole thing?
Yeah.
All right.
I should live so long.
Okay.
Commissioner Hendrick,
No.
Commissioner Callahan.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Mayor Verkaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Zoning map updates. Can I have a motion to approve the cost for the zoning map updates by Wade Trim in the amount of $1,250? Holly, you want to explain this a little bit?
Yes, in the planning commission meetings, they have addressed the zoning maps. I've been hearing about it since I started, that they're very old. And I've confirmed with Adam Young that there have been updates to the zoning or the zoning map, but we have not updated the map to match them. So we have a very outdated map, and we do need to do this. It's the first step in getting that done, because we are up. It does need to be done this year. But we do need to start looking at our master plan and updating other things, so it's just one piece of the pie. So I talked to Adam at Wade Trim, who is our planner, and this is how much it's gonna cost them. Planning Commission approved it. We're just looking for your support.
And Wade Trim is our zoning and planning
Yes.
person.
That was under debate at Planning Commission, but I provided everybody on this board with the documentation of proof that Wade Trim is our planner.
Right.
One little note on that, I found out that Elaine had created a single-page document for Wade Trim, so you might want to contact Wade Trim, and that was to do work for the Planning Commission, but on a...
It's as-needed basis.
No, it was just to do, if they had questions and stuff, so you might want to ask them if they can produce that.
I have the
single-page.
contract from Wade Trim.
No, not that one from 2008. It's a single-page document she created after we went with PCE.
That it was never shared with Wade Trim, because I asked Adam specifically for any contract language we had with him. That is the only document he has. So I'm going to say maybe it was never sent. I don't know. But that one that I provided is the only one that he
It
has.
should be in
and I
our
have.
file somewhere then, because she
not.
created it at around the same time. It was a single page. I'm sorry, I can't find it, but it's, my understanding is she created a single-page document for that.
You never found it?
No, I only have the one.
Right.
Well, when we
So-
did that, I made the motion and it was seconded, but I thought at that time, which I found out different, but I found we were trying to lower costs, and I thought we were gonna go out for both Wade and Trim and for our engineering and our planner. And then our previous manager said she was only gonna she was keeping them long enough to kind of finish up what they were doing with the code updates. But I haven't seen that, but I know that's what she said, but.
Again, the contract is as needed, and PCE, who the city voted for as their engineer, does not have even a planner on staff. They're not planners. So if that was the intent, then she shouldn't have brought you PCE as an option if you were going to transition to them for planning, because they don't do it. So
Well,
as
they
of
do it
now,
for some people.
those are the two separate contracts we have for the two separate services.
Because I talked to them this morning, and they do it for some people, but they don't like to do the planning.
Okay, yeah. They didn't include it on the
But we
fee
were trying to
schedule
get
and
a
everything,
cost
so,
down for all
yeah,
this
It wasn't
stuff
part of their
because
Yeah,
the
it
travel
wasn't part of the
distance, the waiting
proposal.
trim was eating us up.
yeah.
So maybe we might looking at the same thing, looking at another planner that would give us a better deal. Everybody used Montgomery and Associates out of Port Huron. We didn't get that long travel distance and everything.
Well, I'll be honest with you, you don't get much travel distance now. Everything's done by Zoom.
Yeah.
I can honestly tell you, even the conversations we've had with Adam, he hasn't needed to come to a planning commission meeting since I've been here, and any correspondence we've had has been by Zoom, email, or phone. So they're not, the distance piece isn't such a factor now that Zoom's in existence. So we're not getting those kind of charges.
You guys love Zoom, I hate it.
What's that?
I said, you guys love Zoom, I hate it.
Any other discussion for the zoning map updates? Okay. I need a motion to approve the cost for the zoning map updates by Wade Trim in the amount of $1,250.
Make a motion to approve the zoning map updates by Wade Trim in the amount of $1,250.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Clausen,
No.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Mayor Verkaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yeah.
Commissioner Callahan.
Yes.
Motion carries.
New business, special commission meeting. We need to adopt 2022-2023 budget, the 2022-2023 budget. Can I have a motion to set special commission meeting for May 5th, 2022, which is Cinco de Mayo? We'll bring margaritas at 7 p.m.
I'll make a motion that we set the special commission meeting for May 5th, 2022 at 7 p.m. to discuss the budget as well as the Veterans Memorial.
Yeah.
Support with the exception of the margaritas.
Party pooper.
Fun hater.
So we have a motion and support. All right, all in favor?
Questions?
Question?
Discussion.
All right, my question is, when are we going to get the updated budget? We have to have it before you can have this
I
public hearing.
understand, and you will get it at the beginning of next week. UHY will be in here on Monday. Denise and I will finalize the final draft.
The final.
We will provide you with those documents either by end of day Monday. It'll probably be end of day Monday. I won't leave until it's out to you guys versus Tuesday, but it will be Monday. We don't have to post for the public hearing until the 28th, so you will have it even before the posting goes out on the 28th. You have all next week to review it.
But the public has to have so many days to review also.
It will go, yeah, with the public notice, that's why that goes out on the 28th, but we will have the budget done on Monday. There's not that much to change because it's only the things that were brought up during the meeting. So really, my edits are all done on my version. It's just, I just need Denise to come in and plug it into BSNA for me so we can run the final report and make sure the numbers fall where they need to.
Well, I need to review it to make
You
sure
will have
everything
all
got
next
in.
week to review
And
it.
then, it's just not giving us a whole lot of time. That's my.
From Monday to May 5th is quite a bit of time, with all due respect, Commissioner. And again, you don't have to review every line item because we're only really making the edits that we discussed.
Oh, there was a lot. All right, but I think you're still going to have issues with this, but whatever. Okay, I'm done.
Anybody else? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Resolution 003-2022, the special assessment for delinquent accounts. Can I have a motion to approve Resolution 003-2022 to place delinquent utility bills and sidewalk assessments on the summer 2022 tax roll?
I'd like to make a motion to table this, and the reason is the list has to be attached to this with all the delinquent accounts. All the addresses and the accounts have to be attached.
Why? I don't,
They have to be
Is that-
listed on here as part of the ordinance. That's the way our ordinance has always been done. There's
don't
nobody
know about
listed.
that. And the
I do.
reason was, it was brought to me that actually that was incredibly inappropriate.
No, they have to be
putting
listed.
that out, so
It's public
I-
record.
is there a reason that we would have to list everybody's names and addresses on this?
They've always been done that way.
It doesn't mean that it's the right way.
Right.
I'm just saying,
That's kind of a privacy thing.
that's
It's
what I
not,
was,
it's a public
exactly what I was
record.
afraid of.
Them being delinquent is a public record.
Well, let Bob, our
Well,
city
like
attorney.
anything else, it's
look at it.
foiable, absolutely, but I don't know that blasting it out with a resolution.
Well, how do I know what amounts? We have no amounts on here of what the amount is or anything.
Well, what we're trying to do is whatever's delinquent is
Yeah.
it is what it
And
is.
normally we had a list, and the list showed you everything, and it gave you a total, and if you pull out last year's, you can see the delinquent accounts, and it's all in there. Both water and whatever. Like I said, it's a public record. It's not anything secret. I'm just telling you how it's always been done in the past, that's why I'm asking.
I don't recall, at least I just don't recall
Oh,
what we've
let's-
done.
we can-
Because I know people that have been on it. I mean,
We can push this to the, with, oh my God, I can't even talk now,
Why don't
to
you
the
put this
5th.
onto your
Okay.
With
May
the rest
5th?
of them, and I'll
that's
let
why I'd
Bob
like to
look at
table
it.
it. Yeah.
Can we just table it to the budget meeting, not
That's,
to the next
that was
meeting?
my motion.
Yeah.
I'll add to the May 5th meeting.
Okay.
Are you, is it the list that you want, or would the totals be good?
Well, everything should
Names.
be in there. I mean, that's the way they've always been done.
Can't the names be redacted?
We
And
can
what's
do,
the
we
point?
can do the address and the amounts.
The county.
Addresses and
county
amounts.
prints in the
That's all you really need is addresses and
delinquent
amounts.
taxes.
Maybe, right.
Address and amounts.
You're right, it is out there.
I'd ask you to pull out an old one, and you can see what.
Oh, I saw the old one, and we didn't think it was appropriate, so we actually did pull that part and just gave you the crux of actually what the resolution was.
It's all-
I
it's
thought
all
it was
public record.
a privacy issue. That's-
Not when it's a public record.
So you'll give us addresses and amounts?
I'll have Bob verify it first.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, we'll table this then to May 5th. All right, moving on to,
No, I-
Just need to, you need to vote to
A yeas or
table it.
nay.
All
oh,
right, I'll support the table with
Yeah.
Bob's, to go to May 5th with Bob's
Right.
review of it.
And that's just a yay or a nay vote.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. Moving on to ordinance 2022-001, water and sewer rates. Want to explain this a little bit with the water and sewer rates?
This is just a simple increase to the water and sewer this year. There was no increases done to residents last year. This year, however, it is necessary. This is a 2.75 increase. With the economy the way it is, our supply costs have gone up exponentially for any chemicals we need for treating at the plants. And I can also say that F&V, who is our operators for the water and sewer plants, their contract to us has gone up by 4%. We are only passing a portion of that off. So the city has to make an increase this year. So we kept it at 2.75. We thought that was fair in order to still, yes, 2%, to basically work out the differences and break even.
Can you talk very briefly about the impact for residents for water bills and things when we lose big businesses, when we lose business? We lost, Kmart, we lost
Any of your big water.
McDonald's.
Yes. Yeah,
And,
any of your big water consumers directly impact the rate of what will be eventually pushed off onto the residents. You have to have big business in your community or big business users to help balance the difference. Somebody has to pay for it. It cannot be a free service.
Because the structures stay the same.
That's right.
Water
That's right.
pushing is water pushing.
Water pushing is water pushing, and costs go up. And municipalities don't have a lot of new revenue sources to get the income to replace when the costs go up, other than pushing the costs onto the users, which is a fair assessment. It's economy. It's supply and demand.
So under the Federal Water Clean Act, you have an obligation to maintain a level of service of this operation. Whether you have people paying or not paying, you still have to make sure the system functions correctly. So if you read the paper, I have lots of involvement right now with the issues involving the Great Lakes Water Authority, which is a much bigger scale, and the non-payment of water bills by Highland Park. Regardless of those non-payments, the balance of the customers still have to pay the whole bill to function the operations. Mike has an obligation with respect to this facility to make sure it functions correctly. If we were down to one person, they have to pay the whole thing because it has to function. That's an obligation you have under federal law. So it does behoove you to attract larger water users, because when you have larger water users, they pay a higher proportion of the percentage of the costs, which offsets your citizens' drinking water costs.
Right.
Yep.
That's why this all rolls into the conversation of attracting new business, keeping a positive community, a positive board, that it all plays a part. Because who pays the price? The taxpayers.
The residents, the taxpayers.
The residents do.
Absolutely.
The same people that say, I'm here to help the taxpayers, you have a negative, if you have a negative impact and you allow negativity to come in, it does not attract new business.
No, they will
Right.
go elsewhere.
And the taxpayers pay the price. I just wanted to,
Mike, do you agree with the?
I just want to say one thing, that between last year and this year, we dropped 40 million gallons of water.
Wow.
So, from losing Kmart, Big Boys, everything down there, so our costs are going up tremendously for chemicals, lamps and
Right.
lights.
But Mike, the law, wouldn't you agree, though, it's not a linear relationship? I mean, the cost to operate stay here, even though you have less water going out. The cost of the operations isn't a linear decline with the loss of the customers.
The operations is still here, water usage.
Right, and like I said, you're under a federal mandate to run that facility in a certain manner.
Right.
So
Yeah.
staffing,
Can you
maintenance, et cetera,
Safe
those
water.
costs stay the same.
They flat,
But the chemical usage may go down
A
with
little bit.
water usage, right?
it just very little.
But you know what I'm saying? But yeah, there's that fixed cost anyway, and the chemicals are,
Yeah, and chemical
Pocket
prices
change.
are ridiculous right now. Oil, even cooking oil.
Like,
I mean,
in what
oh my goodness.
capacity are we operating? We still have a lot of capacity that we could be
We're only
using.
doing about 45%.
So you're leaving on the table 55% of your
Yeah.
capacity that could be servicing. And if that was filled, then the costs to you would be less individually, because you'd have this bigger,
I'll drink more, I'll drink more.
yeah.
Yeah, drink more water.
Don't say that too loud. People take that wrong.
Can you explain that sprinkler fire suppression of the $55? How does that come in? Where's the $55 coming on a sprinkler system?
What?
Page 2 at the bottom.
What?
Over here.
Number
it's
7.
It's stagnant until you have a fire, right?
No, the water is there, ready to use, so you get charged $55, whether it's on or not.
And none of these costs, I will say, none of these, anything else changed on any of the other pages. The only thing that changed was the commodity charge on the front end. So.
Okay, so let me ask you a couple things here. First off, normally, we don't do this. First, we do it in the budget. And then after the budget's approved with all the stuff, then we usually do the ordinance change after the budget, because that's where we're putting the increase in. The other thing is you did change on the fee schedule some of the other fees, so you're gonna have to update that on here because they're not correct. The fee schedule changed for some of the,
On the turn on,
turn off fees. They went up. It was in the fee schedule that's in the budget.
I'll double check them, but I thought we did double check all of these. And the reason that I want to do this now is because we are looking at doing the budget now. And what makes sense is because we need to give the users a notice prior to putting this into effect. And if we want to have this in effect by July 1, I wanted this to you guys now, make the decision. It affects the budget. They get their notice. It happens on July 1.
It's no different any other year. We've always done it that way. And I don't mean to say that that we can't change, but all I'm saying is normally, it's always been done that way. Everybody knows, because what happens is every time we increase this, everybody will quit using water, and then next year it goes up more because it's a vicious cycle. You know, they know that what they gotta pay. But usually, you do the budget, you approve this in the budget, because this form here has to be in the budget.
Yeah, this is an ordinance,
just the
Lisa,
first reading.
so this is only a
But
first
these,
reading.
all this stuff has to be in there.
This is just the first reading.
I understand, Bob, but all this stuff is normally in the budget.
I know, but what we were trying to do here is we were trying to get this into a capture mode quicker
Yeah.
than waiting till the budget was done and then to do the first reading.
Right.
So we did the first reading
It's all
now.
happening
Okay.
together.
You have the budget
Okay,
in May.
yeah.
Then at the next meeting, you'll have the second reading of
Okay.
this, and it should be ready.
Right.
You gotta have a public hearing. It's in the charter.
The charter requires that it be done by ordinance.
And per a public hearing. It's in the charter, I looked. It talks about the ordinance and also talks about a public hearing.
Okay, so you can make your second reading a public hearing.
I'm just
Yeah,
giving
that's
you the
fine.
information.
That's fine. That's good
But
info.
double check your fees on that last page, because you did increase them on the
I will double check
fee
that.
schedule.
So you see the sequencing there. We were trying to straddle the.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just trying to make sure
Okay.
why you're doing it, because it's
Perfect.
different than what's normally happened to most people here.
All right, so then, anybody else questions? So then we're gonna need a motion, and then we're gonna have to add
Are you
those
gonna look at a
changes.
rate if the state changes and takes the 2019 code and sprinkles residential? They've always wavered it, but the ICC, the national code, every residential house has to be sprinkled.
Yeah, we have to wait and see what they do on that.
Okay. Because they haven't adopted in 19, and I'm afraid that we might get pushed with sprinkler system.
Does the 2.75% cover about what you need? I mean,
Yeah, we walked through this with
okay,
Mike.
so just confirming, that's all.
Well-
Chemicals, our subcontracts, our general allocation for maintenance, the general operations, the staff, we walked through the whole thing.
Okay.
Do you have a sheet for that? I mean, it'd be
It's in
nice to
Mike's
see.
head.
So, yeah,
You mean the walkthrough of that on how?
Well,
we-
yeah, because usually, because like when we go through the water and sewer portion of the budget, it's nice to know how many units you use, what are we doing here? And even on this, a lot of times, instead of giving us the total, you also give us what's the increase? Is it 10 cents? Is it,
You mean what?
per
does-
unit?
What does 2.75
Correct.
equate to?
Usually
We can calculate that.
yes,
What does that mean to a citizen's water?
exactly. They want to know what it means per unit, how much it's going up.
I can add that in. I just used the last one and did it identical to what was done in the past.
Usually we talk about that though in the budget, and then it's broken down in the budget so that you have all that in there.
Anyone else? All right, so, we're going to put this off till May 5th, correct?
No, you
No, you need to do the first.
You just approve it as a first
First
reading.
reading. Okay, got it.
Only.
Yeah, all right.
Do we need to add any of the addendums or, okay.
I'll make a motion, we approve ordinance number 2022-001, water and sewer rate increase for first reading and introduction.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick?
No?
Commissioner Callahan?
Yes.
Commissioner Classen?
Yes.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Buchanan?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, the Mterra contract extension. Can I have a motion to approve the Mterra contract extension?
We don't know what it is.
So, no, you're gonna get a copy of it right now. And the reason that you're getting the copy of it right now is because we are
Secret.
asking for a re-up of their contract. However, if for some reason you don't agree to it, because they have provided the rates, we do not want the rates to go out into the public in the event we had to do a RFP. The competitors would know their rates.
Right.
And they would, yeah.
Yeah.
So that is the purpose of this.
That's why it's written confidential up here in the corner.
Mike and I did our homework. We had conversations with other municipalities. We had conversations with other providers. And without a doubt, Mterra's rates are the most competitive by far. Some of the other groups that they are higher or their services are not as good. And so I felt no need to go any further with this and just re-up their contract, which is done in June. So we have to make a move on something anyway. So
We have a written contract with Mterra that we negotiated with Angelo and with Daniel. And I think their service has been pretty good. You were suffering a little on your service when we got Mterra involved. I've been working with Mterra on other communities, and they've been doing a pretty good job. Mterra is owned by a very, very savvy woman in Canada who is about as strong as you can be on recycling issues. Mterra just built a material handling facility in Lansing that I toured last week, which is just a fantastic recycling capability. I think their service has been good in the community, and the underlying contract we have with them is pretty good for you. And these rates, I can tell you, I'm negotiating the Mid-Michigan Waste Authority right now, which is 36 communities up north. These rates are very good. Just for perspective.
Right.
And I'd like to speak to the customer service side of it. I know Mike works with them regularly. If for some reason we get a call, say they're leaking something on the street, or a trash can gets broke,
Or a missed pickup.
or a missed pickup, and we get a phone call into the office, we call Mike, Mike's on the phone with their supervisor. More than half the time, that supervisor comes to Marine City and handles it. They have been phenomenal as far as follow through on what they say they're gonna do.
In your contract that we put together with them, they have a designated route supervisor that's on call for you.
Good to have.
Yeah, when we had that issue with the leakage of the hydraulic
Remember
fluid,
that?
Yeah,
Yep.
and I called you, because I had so many calls on that, and yes, they went out and took care of it.
Took care of it right away.
Yes.
So I'm just telling you, I've been studying rates now for the last month. These are pretty good rates.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, I need a motion to approve the Mterra contract extension.
Do we have to list the?
No, you can't say the numbers.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we approve the Mterra contract extension with the rates as presented.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Verkaman?
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Callahan?
Yep.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Yep,
Motion
yes.
carries.
Can you pass those back
Yep.
down
Yep.
to us?
They're coming.
All right, salt purchase for 2022-2023 season. Mike, you want to explain this? No, you don't want to? You want to talk about it? I just need a motion to waive competitive bidding, but if you wanted to talk about it, you can.
It's the same thing as years past. We go through my deal, through state purchasing to order our salt. They get everybody's quantities, and then they put it out for bid, and then the lowest bid gets it. And like last year, we're paying $45 a ton, compared to other people, contractors, whatever, was up to $110, $125 a ton. The same thing as this, we belong to my deal. Unfortunately, what happened was, I had to order my salt already. They sent me an email saying by this date, I had to have my order in. So we had to do it to get the purchasing down.
Did we have a bit of a surplus of salt from this winter or no?
I went through almost 350 tons this year.
Compared
yes,
to,
I still
is that
have.
normal?
What's that?
What's like average?
About that much. All depends on the snowfall. Those little half-inch snows, I gotta go out and do. And that's, once I'm notified of it, the police calls me and the fire department, I gotta have somebody go out and salt roads. So it all depends on snowfall.
Anybody have any questions for Mike? All right, you might as well stay there because we're going to have another one.
Yep.
Can I have a motion to waive competitive bidding for the?
Make a motion, oh, go ahead. Make a motion to waive competitive bidding for Mike to go through MI Deal for the 2022-23 salt order.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Callahan.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Mayor Verkaman.
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, and now I need a motion to permit the purchase of salt through my deals for the 2022-2023 season.
Make a motion to approve the purchase of salt through MI Deal for the 2022-2023 winter season.
Anybody have any questions about this?
Do you need that figure, the four?
We don't have a figure yet.
No, we do the same thing every year.
Every year, yeah.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Mayor Verkaman.
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Callahan.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, water plant filter bed painting.
Okay, our filter beds at the water plant need to be painted. I've been reaching out to painting companies all over, can't get nobody to come in here. Finally found somebody that was willing to come do it, because our filters are small. So, I'm looking at asking you to waive the bidding and let, don't have my glasses on, sorry.
Custom Paint Specialists
Yes.
Incorporated.
I should put my glasses on. To do the painting of the filter beds.
The filter beds are the ones that are kind of against the
No, these are.
west wall.
These, well, yeah, yep, you got 3 beds in there?
Yep, but they're big concrete things,
Yep.
right? And then they've got the sand and kind of
Yep.
charcoal-y stuff at the bottom of them.
You can see all three.
So the only thing that concerns me is they said power wash, scrape, and sand. I mean, do they actually sand the concrete?
Yeah.
Or, okay,
You rough it up before you paint it.
okay. And they are specialists in
Yes.
water tank, concrete
Yes.
water tank painting? Okay.
This would actually get an epoxy coat on there, and it'd be 2 coats put on per tank. Now, we budgeted $10,000 a year for filter painting, but I think I can get all 3 done, 1 this year, then 2 after July 1st for this much money.
And how often do you do them?
About every 5 years.
Okay.
You try to alternate them every 5 years.
Just make sure,
What's
that
the
it says
total
power wash, scrap, and sand water tank. Hopefully they'll just scrape.
That's 46
great.
times.
So,
You said 3, right,
Yes,
Mike?
don't scrap
46
them.
4,600 times 3, correct?
I don't know,
No,
4,600 is
Just
the
doing
total.
one this year.
Total.
Oh, you're just doing 1.
This year, and then next year, we're gonna do 2 more. So I'll
Got it.
come back with, for the next one.
9-ish.
9,300
Probably.
or more. Okay.
Maybe 2 for,
Any other questions for Mike?
They wouldn't give you a cheaper deal if you did all 3?
yeah, I was gonna ask.
Well, I'm gonna check into that. You know, if we do all 3 at once. Because if they give me a better price, we're doing 2 of them this year, I'll have to do 2 this year, if you allow me to do that.
Yeah.
Well, and you need one always, right? You can't take all 3 down at the same
No,
time or else we
one
wouldn't have
one
water.
has to get done.
Right,
Takes 7 days for it to cure, and then we move into the next one.
yeah.
Any other questions for Mike?
So what happens if you if you go to
Right.
them and they say that they will do it for less, you're gonna have to come back to us?
Probably.
Doing up to.
Yeah, do you want to do a not
Do it
to
up to-
exceed of
$10,000.
10,000?
10,000?
Yeah,
Yep.
because that's what's in the budget.
That's in the budget anyway, right?
Yep.
All right. So we're going to need a motion then to waive competitive bidding and for the painting of the filter beds at the water treatment plant for a not to exceed $10,000.
We gotta wait.
Well, it has to be 2 motions, but I'll make a motion to waive competitive bidding for the painting of the water tanks to be done by Custom Paint Specialists Incorporated of Romeo, Michigan.
Support.
And we have a motion and support. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Callahan.
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Ross.
Yes?
Mayor Verkaman.
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson.
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Like to make a motion to allow Custom Paint Specialists of Romeo, Michigan to repaint 1 or 2 water tanks, if 1, for a total of $4,650, if 2, a total not to exceed $10,000.
There's no 50 on there.
Where's the $50 coming on?
It's just 4,600.
Yeah. Okay.
4650, it says right.
No,
He's
I
got-
got 4600.
He's got two, there's two, the total is 4650, but in the letter it's.
In the letter, it's only 4,600.
Go with the letter.
Well, go.
Yeah, with the letter.
I think they'd probably get pissed if you knocked
Yeah.
$50
Yeah.
off their quote. So I keep my motion as it stands.
Okay.
4,650.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and support. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Callahan?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Kamen?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Hey, and let's move on to crack sealant purchase for the 2022-2023 season. Mike, you want to explain?
This is the same as we've been doing years past, National Highway Maintenance System. We buy the crack sealant from them, we get the machine for free. Otherwise, we don't have to go out and rent a machine or anything, so we get that for free. This year it went down to, well, actually only went back up to $1.09 per pound, which is only up a couple cents from last year, which is very lucky. We do have $5,000 or $10,000 in the budget for this, split between major and local roads. So we can try to get most of our roads done that's been done, continue doing this every year, and hopefully have a machine here in April, and we can start this already.
Any questions for Mike? All right. I need a motion to waive competitive bidding for the purchase of crack sealant for the 2022-2023 season.
I'll make a motion, we waive competitive bidding for the 2022-2023 crack sealing program from National Highway Maintenance System.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Callahan?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Mayor Kamen?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And now I need a motion to purchase crack sealant for the 2022-2023 season from National Highway Maintenance System for $1.09 per pound.
I'll make a motion, we approve the purchase of sealant from National Highway Maintenance System for $1.09 per pound, not to exceed $10,000.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes.
Mayor Kamen?
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Callahan?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, moving on to KCI tax
Give you an
bill.
update first?
Huh?
Can I give you an update on the water tower?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, it's still down. They're starting to put the standpipe back in now. So I'm hoping by either Saturday or possibly Monday to get it up and running, get some bleach in there, get it chlorinated, do our battery tested, and hoping to have it online by Wednesday.
Good.
Next week. So bear with us. We're doing the best we can. Weather.
All right, we appreciate
No
it.
boil water advisory, nothing
No,
like that?
no,
We're
nothing
good.
like that at all.
Everything's clean.
Everything's good.
Yeah.
All right?
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Mr. Itrich. All right, now moving on to KCI tax bill printing service. Can I have a motion to hire KCI for the purpose of printing tax bills with an estimated cost of $2,154.25? You want to explain this a little
It
bit?
includes tax and postage, right? I mean, not tax, the printing and postage.
Yes.
Printing, sending, they do the whole deal.
Yeah.
So I know that we had looked at trying to move the taxes out of the Treasurer's Department and up to the county just to save on labor and manpower. However, that was far too expensive based on the county's rates. So Plan B is we looked at a company where you basically, you get your tax roll, everything's set up, You hand over the flash drive, they do all the printing, and they do the mailing of the tax bills. KCI is who the county uses, so everything would be set up, it would look the same, feel the same, work the same. And it's just it just takes some of the labor and work out of the office. This came to us, a lot of the surrounding communities, townships use the same company as well. They're well-renowned in Michigan for doing what they do. And I have, in the hopes that this is approved, I have built this into the budget for both the summer taxes and then again for the winter taxes, in anticipation of it.
Same price each time?
As of, yes, this is the quote we have for this year, so through the end, December 2022, this would not change. This would be for each time, correct?
The only thing I'd suggest is make sure that you get rid of all your inactive accounts so that you're not sending inactive accounts out.
Absolutely.
Any questions?
Is there, do you have any idea what cost savings this is to us? Or is it kind of a wash, it just helps you free up people?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a time saver. And I mean, it's hard on our machines to do all these printings, to be honest with you. And it takes up an entire day of multiple staff members and then stuff in envelopes and so, yeah.
Okay.
All right. So can I have a motion to hire KCI? 215425.
I'll make a motion, we approve KCI for the tax bill preparation, printing, and mailing for a total cost of $2,154.25.
Support?
We have a motion to support. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Hendrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Callahan?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Mayor Kamen?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Moving on to the city attorney contract. Can I have a motion to approve the contract renewal between Davis Littman PLLC and the city for legal services for September 1, 2022 through August 31st, 2025?
So moved.
Support.
Support with the correction of listman.
Yes.
Davis list.
I will say that we were trying to be proactive. One of the things that I was trying to be proactive with this year is going through any of the contracts that we were finding that when they expired and try to get them taken care of sooner rather than later. I did notice that Bob's contract did expire in September, so it was something that we just got on the ball and trying to get it off the to-do list. So here it is. There is no major changes to it other than some language changes that were no longer relevant to certain things now. But pricing didn't change, services didn't change, the way any of the invoicing, none of that changed. None of the guts of it.
So let me just add a couple of factors, not that, I just want you to be aware that we signed on for certain rates, and we haven't changed those rates, and I'm guaranteeing the rates through 25. Number two, that we've taken your, about half of what we have to charge you is for the prosecution services that are conducted in the city. Since we've managed them and worked closely with the police chief, we've been able to make the amount of money we recover back through the court system is fundamentally paying for the cost of your prosecution. So although you see an invoice for prosecution, it's offset by a check that comes back from the court system back to your community. We do provide annually one free training of your ZBA because as Bill Clausen would know, ZBAs need training yearly or they forget what they're doing.
I haven't had a meeting in a long time.
Number three is, just for you guys, we don't charge for postage, we don't charge for copying, we don't charge for mileage, we don't charge for travel, and we capped our meeting fees to 2 hours, so I'm already in a loss column right now for tonight because of our agenda. So we capped that, and just to reiterate something I've talked to some of you individually about, I give you what the law says. I don't give you the way the wind is blowing on issues. You take my advice. I give you the legal answer. You do with it, kind of what you think you should do with it. So we're here to give you accurate legal opinions in writing, not, just off the cuff. All of our important decisions are issued to you in writing. When there's a request, we put it in writing, and so you have something to rely on. The other thing we do is if we're asked a question, we sequentially number those opinions. So when the next board is in place and they ask the same question, we can refer them back to the prior answer without having to charge again. And that's come in handy a few times. Holly's called me and asked me a question. I said, look back at opinion number 14 from 2 years ago, and I don't have to charge you to give you another answer. So we try to do our best for you.
And we appreciate that. Okay. So I need a motion to approve his contract. Davis Listman PLLC.
We have.
You already have
it. We just need roll call.
Did I?
We're just, yeah.
Oh, my
You have that
goodness.
and the support, yeah.
Man, I'm still on jet lag. So roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bryson?
Yes.
Commissioner Ross?
Yes.
Commissioner Hendrick?
No.
Commissioner Callahan?
Yes.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yes.
Mayor Verkaman?
Yes.
Motion carries.
City managers report.
All right. It's another big one this month, but I'm not going to go through it because we've been here a long time tonight. But with the length of this and then even just the agenda tonight, you can see we've been very busy. There was a lot of things that have been teed up for the last few months that did come to fruition, which is why we were able to have the agenda that we had tonight and bust some things out. So thank you for putting up with that. Also, it's just been a lot of weeks of hard work on budgets and fee schedules and going through contracts and renegotiating some costs. And I have been successful in lowering some of our contract costs that, particularly with some of our healthcare and Comcast. So I'm working diligently to try to save money while we're getting this budget prepared. Some positive things, the DPW has been down working on the kayak launch. That's getting ready. It's very exciting. If you haven't been by, go down, take the guys a bottle of water or something, whether they're working their butts off down there. But it's just, I think things have been very productive. They're moving along great. Joe, thank you for the kind remarks tonight. I think trying to keep things positive and moving forward is exactly what we need to do. I think tonight's agenda, my report shows that that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to do our jobs, do it to the best of our ability, and provide for the community. If you have any questions on anything on my manager's report, I'd be happy to answer them. And that's that.
The only thing I don't know if the whole board knows what we're doing with China with the dump, or are we going to get any of the records from what they send us and say it's okay and stuff? I mean, an update.
Yeah, I can,
Phil.
So.
I think a lot of people don't realize that the city owns a landfill.
Well, it's a closed landfill, and
Yeah,
it
it's
was.
closed now, yes.
It was closed by the state of Michigan through their efforts. You have a landfill that no longer functions, and a couple of years ago, when the state started looking into the PFAS contamination flow in Michigan, they targeted landfills because landfills house the type of material that could squirt out as part of the leachate. PFAS. State's only regulating PFOS, PFOS, and PFOA out of the PFAS family. So we were contacted by the state of Michigan. I think there was some reportings made to the state about the potential that our closed landfill could be leaching leachate with PFAS in it. Mike and I engaged an expert consultant. We went out there. Mike forgot to tell me not to wear a suit. Anyways, we did testing on the leachate flow in all the right locations, including the trench down the middle. Bill, you know, there's like a trench down the middle. We did the side, we did all the places that the state of Michigan asked us to test. We produced those tests. The state did testing. We found nothing, they found nothing. There was one hit a while ago, and that's what I think raised the eyebrow of China, right? There was one minor hit of a very low level, and remember, they're counting these in parts per trillion. This is way above parts per billion. We're talking about specks of PFAS. And so that was a concern as to whether or not there was a potential to infiltrate private water wells, and that was determined not to be happening. Right now, the state of Michigan hasn't contacted us in a while. If they do and they want further action, I'll be coming back to you recommending that if we're going to undertake any further action, that we have to form a PRP committee, a responsible party committee, because although it's located in the city of Marine City, you're not the only one who used it. That landfill was contributed to by 6 to 7 other entities and municipalities, so we would want to involve them. But right now, I'm working with Eagle staff, and there's been no requirements. At some point, they're going to want us to mow it. Mike and I have tried looking at bids to mow it. It's very expensive. You're looking at maybe $6,000 to $8,000 just to trim the vegetation.
It's about 6 foot high, I think.
Yeah, eventually it's going to have to happen. The state right now, the gentleman that I'm working with is trying to find grant money to do that mowing for us. The state has been using other grant money to do some testing for us. We use some of our own money to do our independent testing. So we're tracking that pretty closely.
Yeah. And I think Holly has a meeting with the supervisor and the one of the commissioners on the board brought it to my attention and said, do you know anything about it? And you know there's a grant out there you can get if you own it. The township couldn't ask for that grant, so that's how it all came about.
Right, and right now, the state of Michigan is indicating to us they're using that grant money on our behalf. But we'll keep on it, and you know, my dealings with Eagle on this and other landfills is, you know, you kind of hold your course until they speak to you strongly. So that's about where we're at.
Yeah, I know they pumped out, well, there's 4 cells there, and 3 cells are full, and the other one is the one that was holding all the water.
Yeah, but it does have a cover, and it has been sloped correctly in accordance with closure standards.
They're all
I don't
capped.
know if the township
Yeah, it's all capped.
has
They're
a
all
key to it
capped.
or not, but we don't go in there. So.
Well, there's if you go there, Mike, how many locks are on the gate?
Yeah.
I think there's 5 locks now. We have one, the state has one. I think the Corps of Engineers still has a lock on it.
Eagle.
And yeah, there's multiple locks out there.
Does anybody have any other questions for city manager?
The only other question I had to ask was about the Cotterville properties
Yeah.
for annexation.
Yes. Per the conversation that we all had during a planning commission meeting, when we were looking at the zoning maps, there is 2 landlocked properties within the city of Marine City's border that are Cottervilles. And yes, the conversation came up regarding those 2 properties and the potential of having the conversations with Bob and the board about what annexation might mean to try to bring the corner of Chartier and King as well into the city of Marine City. The reason being, 2 are landlocked. It sort of makes sense. Annexation into a community only increases your tax base. It's not a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. Primarily the conversation around the corner of Chartier and King was because it's a dump, and Cotterville isn't cleaning it up. They don't take people to court. I mean, you've said it yourself. You can ticket all day long, but if the municipality won't take them to court and stand behind it, those tickets are not worth anything. We are changing our tone here. We've increased our fees. We are going after blight. That corner presents itself like it is Marine City because of where it is. Most people think it's Marine City, not Cotreville. So the thought was, maybe we consider actually annexing it in and cleaning it up. It would increase our tax base, and we could make a junky corner look better. These are very preliminary conversations that we had that could be very positive, but I mean, very beginning conversations when we were redoing the maps. So yes, that's what was discussed.
So based on that, Bill, I did produce a procedural memo that lays out the process. I sent it to you, and that was the one I couldn't get to go through, but eventually went through. So you have a copy of that. It's a preliminary assessment of all the procedures, hearings, and notices that have to occur if you were going to try to do an. It's not an easy process.
No.
It's a lengthy process, but it's a doable process. And with the representations of Cotreville that they plan to take no action to make any enforcement on these properties, it might be beneficial to bring them into our fold where we could, make them productive.
Yeah.
So nothing's happening really. I've laid out the procedure for the city manager. If and when the folks decide, it'll come back and we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, you and I both know the procedure is a lengthy one and a costly one.
There's a lot of surveys that have to be done. There's property descriptions that have to be created. There's a lot of work. But it's spread out over like a year. It takes about a year to do it.
But you gotta convince the people that live there to wanna pay city taxes.
Right.
And that's gonna be a
That's who's
tough
gonna
one.
vote on it, those people.
Yeah.
Any other questions
Thank you.
for city manager?
Yeah, I've got a couple. Are we gonna get an update on any of the union contract wage openers in the future?
They haven't started, but when we do start them, yes.
Okay.
I just received the letters from the Teamsters to even set a meeting, so.
The email issue, I'm gonna let you know that one. There's something wrong. I know Shannon sent me the pension meeting and was having some trouble. I got it, and then you sent it again because you're getting this, are you getting some type of not delivered?
It bounced back from some email addresses.
Yeah, and I'm not,
Indicating that the files together were too large, which is
Yeah.
why it got resent as two separate.
and like you sent me something, Holly, and then I tried to forward it to my own email, and it won't go. There's something wrong. It's saying it's either too big or I don't have the capacity to do it. There's just something wrong in there with, because I've never had that problem before, ever. So there's
I can
something
ask
going
my
on with
tech
our
to Take a
email.
look at the emails and see if something's off.
I've got a
don't know.
message, I can send you an image of what the message is saying, but there's something seriously wrong because we've never had that problem before,
Okay.
all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to the report that we sent to the state about combining the water plants, the East China and us? Anybody got anything back on that?
No.
No.
All right. The last thing is, if we had any more filings for the personal property tax write-offs,
I'm not sure.
I guess I'd be directing that at you.
No, the last round was done in full.
I thought there was still a few years left.
No, before Mary Ellen, I got it totally up to date before she left, and then Megan and I went to one, and we went to court hearing, and Judge West approved it all.
So all the old personal property tax that we couldn't collect got wiped
Yeah, I
out?
think they've all been scrubbed now. And what I did was I instituted a direction sheet, of a sort on how to do it each cycle.
Okay.
So I basically prepare it, the city certifies it, we do a hearing, we grab a judge up in the circuit court, and we get them approved as.
So that's basically, we lost that because we didn't put any bills out?
Well, you lost it because people didn't pay it, and you didn't take other affirmative action to collect it, and eventually they go stale. Yes,
I knew a lot of people that didn't even get a bill.
that's what they say.
Yeah.
But we're trying to, the way you go about that is you clean up both ends. You clean up your taxing processes.
Yeah.
So that list becomes smaller.
Okay,
Whose
so we just
responsibility
had
is
to
that?
write it all off,
The
basically.
treasurer.
Oh, that was the treasurer's responsibility?
This goes back a long ways.
Yeah, these go back in time.
Correct.
But some under the,
Okay, and the last thing is, I know we talked about the sale of 303 water, but did we complete the master plan issue with those properties? Or that property? Of removal?
the removal from the master plan of the park property?
Yes.
Yeah, that motion.
I thought it wasn't finished because I thought the master plan wasn't approved.
Well, there,
It was approved, July.
We had
I
no-
just pulled the motion and gave it to Mr. Turner yesterday. Yes, the motion was made and the master plan was approved with the removal of the park language.
Okay.
It was in the July meeting.
we finally found the minutes.
Yeah,
Okay, because
It was
I was
done.
just going off of what Commissioner Ross had said, something about
Yep.
something wasn't completed.
yeah, it was. That was done. But
Yeah,
you can
and I was the
speak
one
to-
that made the motion, actually,
did.
but I didn't fully understand that it was the removal of that part. That said, the stuff that we had discussed in the Historical Commission meeting was that we were going to put it back on and make sure that it got put back on,
Okay.
so.
So
as a part.
everything's good?
We're good.
Yes, we should
Okay,
be good
I'm just-
in that regard.
Just clarifying. All right, thank you. That's it.
Anyone else?
Scott's meetings for the federal aid road stuff?
Yes.
I just wanted to give you credit because I thought you were going to those too.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. I attended my first physical one, not on Zoom. It was a week or two ago. No, there is not any more money at that meeting, but there was some
Well-
really great updates on what was going on. But now that we're at the table, that's where we're going to start getting the money. And I will say, I did mention it in the report, but I worked with Mike and PCE, and we have teed up road projects and infrastructure projects. So when those meetings happen and I am at the table, I have projects to raise my hand and get some of that money so Marysville doesn't get it all anymore.
right. And Bruce, just regarding properties, the Bruce Street status, we had actually
The
made a
cleanup
motion.
one? Wait, what are you talking about? What, Bruce?
Bruce Street is the one that, it was another property that was amongst 303 and 300, but that we had dispositioned to put out for sale.
A lot.
That
A
was.
lot, it's
It was
just
like
a
a
lot.
small lot.
Yeah.
It's a
That we
small
tore a
lot,
house
right.
down on.
And it, you know what? It was listed. It was, Bachelor was listing it. Yeah, so it is listed.
Okay, I
That
just
was-
for kicks checked Zillow and didn't see it on there, but
We
maybe
don't
they
have
don't
any
list
nibbles
through
yet.
there. Okay,
I'll follow back up with them to make sure it's still listed, but yes, I did
Okay.
after that meeting. That
It's gonna
was,
be a hard one to sell.
yeah.
yeah, I thought the hope was that a neighbor would.
Neighbor would buy it, right?
That
Yeah.
would be the best buyer
Sure.
you could get.
Anyone else?
Thank you for reminding me of that.
City Manager Tapman? All right, let's move on to Commissioner Privilege and Commissioner Bryson.
I have nothing tonight.
Commissioner Henrik.
Nothing for me tonight.
Commissioner Callahan.
Yes, I do want to take a moment to thank Holly for the work that she did on the budget. I know it was, there was a lot going on there, and there were things that, I mean, I'm sure you're very familiar with, most of what goes on there, but actually creating the budget is not something that's in your wheelhouse, really, and you worked with UHY and put it together, so thank you. Yeah, there were some things, but, you fixed them, so we got that going. I also want to just remind people that the weather is getting nicer, and the kids are, they're everywhere, and they're like, there's a bunch of them on these new little scooters out there right now, so be careful with them, just watch, because they're not. So, we don't want anything awful to happen, and, just a little, okay, I say this because I'm kind of a freak, if most of you drive by, you'll know that, but, help our DPW out, if you've got a storm drain by you, just kind of sweep it out a little bit, take care of some of that kind of stuff, so we don't have sitting water in our streets and stuff like that.
Sitting water is mosquitoes.
Yep, so, and just enjoy the spring, because we're going to have some nice weather this week.
Yes. Commissioner Clausen.
Rotary's having a road cleanup Saturday. It'll be from Marine City, from the Kmart down to Roberts Road. They also will be having a flower sale Mother's Day weekend at the old school there at Ward and M29, so I look for that. Otherwise, yeah, like I say, you watch the kids, and the big thing now is out there is they got these little mopeds, and they like to put them up on the tail and drive down the street. So, thank you.
Commissioner Ross.
Just, enjoy the weather and be safe. That's it.
Okay. I just wanted to say,
Did you skip Lisa?
no, I didn't.
No, yeah.
I go right down the line.
No, I'm sorry, you missed me.
I did.
The DPW installed several new fishing pole holders on the seawalls downtown. They look great. We received our first payment from Wayne Metro for the water payment assistance, and I'm encouraging all residents to sign up for that. You can just contact the city offices, Michelle, right?
Yeah, Michelle's handling
Yeah,
it.
to handle that and ask
Eligibility,
questions and
but
that
Yeah,
kind of
there's
stuff.
eligibility criteria for it, but
Right.
she'll
Not
walk you
everybody.
through it.
Yes.
Yeah. The new kayak launch is underway. Like I said, DPW has been down there. Several residents have come in to the offices and say how excited they are about it. The Community Economic Development Board mural project and approved grant funding is underway. Thanks to Penny Garwood for giving us the side of her building. We're going to be doing some murals on that. Make downtown look spiffy. Little League is starting. Please slow down when driving past the fields. I'm going to be throwing out the first pitch on Saturday. And I want to thank Rimrock Acres 4-H Club for cleaning the bike trailway on April 9th. 8 bags of garbage from West Boulevard to Ward Street were collected, and we definitely appreciate that. I was the one that asked Joe Moran of the Community and Economic Development Board to come and speak about the 13 ways to kill a community, which is something that we read at our Community and Economic Development meetings. One of the things of the 13 that says about killing a community is having constant negative social media presence. Oddly enough, I was just at a congressional fundraiser on Monday, and our congresswoman talked about just that. She was talking about how social media has become a three-ring circus, giving voice to negativity and hate. There is no way to verify any information that is posted on social media because anyone can make up a profile and pretend to be someone. Many people of all ages fall victims to those perpetrators that spend months and months pretending to be somebody they are not. The person posting the garbage may not even live in the community, be an invested taxpayer. They may even have a severe criminal record. I chose long ago to delete many social media groups. I do not read any of it. I do not have any idea what is out there because I don't care to see it. I choose to ignore it. I choose to live positively. I just got back from a wonderful vacation, and I loved every minute of it. We need to make some changes in our code of conduct and our code of ethics, which we are doing. We need strong policies to keep all of our public servants that you vote for in check. We need ordinance changes as well, especially for any and all board members that are voted in. Board members should be tax-paying citizens that are invested in our community. They should have no criminal records. They should be up to date with their water and tax bills, and there should be no nepotism on any board. We have work to do, and I can assure you that with a strong board, strong city departments, and a strong city manager, we will continue to improve and make Marine City a great and safe place to live and work. And just recently, I was made aware of certain social media posts involving my background and how that background relates to my position as the mayor of Marine City. The information posted is false and impacts myself and the city as well. I have asked the city manager to discuss these issues with the city attorney and take whatever action is deemed appropriate to protect the good name of this city. While I would normally ignore this type of published material, these allegations relate to crimes and criminal behavior. And that is it. Thank you very much, and with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting ended at 9:45. Thank you for coming, everyone.